Oh, yeah.
And welcome to Tavern Talk, a live and interactive talk show based on the epic fantasy series Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. Joining me is the biggest round of handsome people I've ever seen. To my left is Jansen and Lashley Haynes. Below me is Tom D. Simone. Below him is Tavern Tavern. To Tavern Tavern's right is Beth Dolman. Above Beth Dolman is B. Dizzle. And in the middle, looking fine as ever, is our new guest, Dad Swain Sedai. Today we are continuing our geographical exploration of the books, jumping into Crown of Swords. And yeah, this has been a fun and very interesting, more edifying than I thought it would be, series of shows based on the cities and places we meet. And I'm super excited. Dad Swain Sedai is joining us. Welcome. I want to say hi and meet you real quick.
Yeah, hi.
Your background is fantastic. Your lighting is stellar. Your voice is scintillating.
Oh, trying to put this
beauteous,
scintillating.
I actually just got 2 new wigs in the mail, so this wall is growing.
Oh.
Such a variety.
The wall of so, do you want an entire hair wall?
Yeah, I'm thinking that that wall behind me, I couldn't find any art or anything to put on it. And I was just like looking, this is my studio that I do my music and recordings in. And then I was just kind of like, I don't know what to put on there. And I had all those wigs in a box. And I was like, I don't want them to get, crumbled or unkempt. And then I was like, I'll just nail them to the wall.
They do.
It's my art.
They look like scalps from Willy and the Wonka.
Yeah. Those are your enemies' flesh up on your wall.
Enemies beware.
All right, Dad, so when you mentioned music, do tell, what kind of music do you enjoy making? And where, is there a place we can find it?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if people still use SoundCloud, but I have one. And then I put a lot of my parody recordings and then original music on there as well. And then I've orchestrated, I have a degree in music performance, so I put a couple of concertos and orchestral music that I've composed on there as well. And then I just kind of, anything that I'm doing in a video, if there's music in it, typically it's me on the keys or just in my studio creating music for my content and stuff.
So do you use a program where you put the sheet music in and it basically plays it for you? Have you ever hired a group to record your music?
No, I just so I live in this little Texas town, and I'm out here by myself for the moment, and I'm just kind of like, well, I guess I'll just do it all myself. So
little Texas town population.
I love your British accent with your with living in Texas.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm here for it. It's amazing. Whatever. It sounds amazing. It's the outback of Texas.
Listen,
whoever knew?
It's definitely not whatever for the Aussies.
Yeah,
It's whatever.
I've got some live instruments that I've bought over the years, and then the rest of them are just kind of instruments that came with the program, and I just kind of stick them all together and see what comes up.
Man, well, if you have a link to any of your stuff, send it to us. We'll post it. I'd like to hear it, and I'm sure people that are watching, all 4 of them want to hear it too.
Yeah. It's a range. There's some parodies, there's some covers, there's some raunchy music. It's great. It's really runs the gamut.
Let's get to know you just a little bit. So, what was your voyage into the Wheel of Time like?
So my older brother and my younger brother read The Eye of the World, the first, second, and third books, and then they were kind of like, I'm obsessed with the written word, so they were like, you have to read this series. And so I think I jumped in on The Dragon Reborn, and then every time a new book came out, we would reread up to that book, and then we would read the new book, and then we would convene and talk about what happened and what we loved and what we hated. And so we, all throughout the years, ever since book 1, the 3 of us have kind of gone in lockstep all the way through. And then when the television show came out, I was obsessed, of course, and they kind of fell off on season 1 because they are actually really busy. so I'm hoping that's exactly true. But but we did discuss a little bit of that, and then ever since then, I've just kind of been online, hanging out with the community, and I dabbled in the community a little bit back on Dragon Mount, like way back in the day. And this I was called Balefire Ruin Stakes, and
that's amazing.
You're lucky if I remember day to day, let alone a long time ago.
So it was cute and fun. And then just recently, I've kind of had the ability to have this kind of a setup and get connected with you fine folks and start making like other types of content. I've done Wheel of Time Idol for the last few years, and it's just loads of fun. So I'm having a good time.
I did see you at a convention cosplaying as Cad Swain.
Yes, I did.
It was fabulous. I love that. I don't see the Cad Swain wig on the wall because it seemed like it was more fun.
No, it's around the corner, so it's kind of where the purple wig is. That is the Cad Swain wig.
Okay.
I got one of my favorite pictures that year that you went as Cad Swain with you. That was one of my favorite Cad Swains.
It was great. It was my first cosplay, so I'm really glad it was a success. And then
it was fantastic.
Yeah, and then I got online. I was like, I don't know, green dress. I need a green dress, and I was like, shawl. I don't know. I'll just use this tablecloth, and I just put it all together. And then it was fantastic. Everyone was so excited about it, and that's when I actually got the name Dad Swain, because I was like Cad Swain, and they're just like more like Dad Swain, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, because you still had the beard. I mean, it was glorious. I mean, there's a lot of people in costumes, and I'll double take a couple of them, and I was like, whoa, rad. I was like, I really appreciated what you were doing.
It was heaps of fun. I really thought about shaving, but I was like, nah, Cad Swain with the beard is great.
Dad Swain.
Dad Swain.
Tom, it's been a while since we've seen you. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, really good. Same stuff, different day. We've been doing our rewatch on Mondays and intermittently playing games here and there. Pretty much it. You
were watching Avatar and stuff, right?
Yeah. We've been watching a lot of Avatar actually, but that's the people voted, and Avatar was what everyone wanted to watch, and I love it, so it really doesn't bother me. I've watched the animated series countless times over and over again.
So good. That and to me, that and Full Metal Alchemist are like some of the greatest storytelling ever. It like has a start, finish, and end, which anime generally struggles with that last part. Mm-hmm. And they let it end, especially Avatar. I mean, it's glorious.
The fact that they do so much in such a short amount of time is just like, the writers are insane. I want them to do more things.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Like, if you look up the writers, they've only pretty much done Avatar and like other Avatar properties.
Another one.
What's up?
I heard they're writing another one.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Nickelodeon gave them their own studios, and they're going to be releasing standalone movies and a new series.
It's going to be pretty.
I'm excited for that. But one of the things I like to do when I find a TV show or a movie that I really like the writing of is like I look up the writer and I'm like, oh, what else have they done? And if you look them up on like IMDb, they've only done Avatar. That's and I'm like, wow, like. How come someone else hasn't snatched these guys up to do something else?
Yeah.
Hey, Jansen, can you get closer to the mic or something? You're a little quiet. I'm trying
Matt's Dagger! Matt Dagger!
All right.
Dad Swain,
No,
can you play something really fast, like a little...
really fast, like
ragtime.
Oh gosh, let's see.
I want
give Matt Dagger a little.
Oh, well, let me.
I'd have to put my piano on.
a little.
I love it. Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Love it.
Oh my God, everyone grab your steins and raise them up high.
Ignore the
Cheers.
the cup that was found somewhere near a Pizza Hut.
I shall.
It's like I'm taken back to the 1990s when I was at a Pizza Hut.
Dude, these cups are amazing.
All right, before we go on, let's. Unfortunately, I have to let everyone know that our friend Abigail is in need.
Yes.
And
Yes.
let's learn about this and figure out how we can help her out. So this is her real name is Melanie Monroe.
Yeah.
And
she is original captain with our Watchionary. She was there from the beginning as a alternate. We've known her for a long time. She moved to a remote area in Canada and was building her dream house and has had mechanical difficulties, frankly. Flat tires, her excavator is excavating, things like this. So she has asked for a little help, and it's humbling and hard to do, and we should honor and try to make this as graceful for her as possible. So, yeah.
Yeah, this community is so generous. I lost my job, and I was really like, I'm just gonna have to go live in my car at that point. And I put up a GoFundMe. It is very humbling. It's kind of like asking for help is so difficult. But the Wheel of Time community, I kid you not, like they showed so much generosity. I have never before been like that blessed, and so I really want us all to like jump in and do
Yeah. And she reveals in this GoFundMe request that she is now pregnant, guys. And winter is coming, and where she is living, I mean, she's living with bears and moose and stuff. All they wanted to do was just build a house. Bears and moose and cold. So yeah, if you please, I mean, summer is the golden time, but winter is coming. My sweet summer child, and Abigail can use some help. So, guys, just go read her plea. And if you choose not to, it's your choice. I understand times are tough for everyone, but if you have a couple dollars, please feel free to send it her way. She wouldn't ask if she didn't need it.
Absolutely.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I did just a second what Dad Swain said. It's just I mean, even before the content creator community and like the full like swing of the internet came around, like I remember like the third or fourth Jordan Con, someone's car was stolen from the hotel parking lot in Atlanta, Georgia, and within like 3 or 4 days of the convention, the convention goers, like, and like, you know, maybe a few of the people on the Facebook group as well, because the Facebook group was pretty active at that time for Jordan Con. Like unknowingly, people donated a whole bunch of money, and they had been able to purchase a new car for them.
No way! Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Within a few days.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
all right, let's get this puppy going.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being compassionate. Thanks for having empathy. Thanks for like being, you know, thanks for having hearts.
Yeah.
Everyone. Yeah. So.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. You guys are amazing. This already just happened, Brother Dan.
What happened?
Oh, no, actually 6 minutes ago. Just kidding. All right, we got some donations. I refreshed and I thought it was us, but it wasn't. All right, everyone.
Okay. Never mind.
Let's ignore that. All
well,
right,
let's jump into it. So we're doing the places you'll go.
Where did we leave off?
The places you'll tow? Can we say that?
Well, I believe we're starting with the Crown of Swords today because last week we combined 2 books. And got all over. Now, you know, before we start, I want to say something to the audience. It's so different now once you get into these chapters talking about the land and where we're at because of the reemergence of traveling and because our main characters now are all split up. So we get to jump around to a lot of new places now. And that's one of the reasons why it's good for us to still bring some of those places back. Another reason is because this is Rand land. Rand is the dragon reborn. The land is one with him, and with the land being one with him, Rand brings change. And we start the Crown of Swords off in Tar Valon, a place which Elida also in the beginning of this considers the heart of the world. Well, the heart of the world is corrupted right now because Haddon Fane is, left Elida with a small taint, and that taint is starting to ooze around Tar Valon. So Tar Valon is changing as well. Sorry. What'd you say?
Oh, I said no. You said the taint is growing. I said that's gross.
Yeah, so Tar Valon is starting to change, and we see that physically with all of the refuse and things that are starting to happen in the city. And we also see that on the Tower grounds, because in the beginning of the Crown of Swords, Elida is looking down at a place that used to be the practice area for the warders that is changing because she believes it's going to be the Amerlin's palace. So even the grounds itself at the White Tower are changing. So the world is changing, and we're going to start going back sometimes to some of those places we've already talked about.
That's a good point, Jansen, because a lot of the places we're seeing now are either politically or geographically different than the beginning of the series, right? Yeah. I mean, we are having shifting borders to a certain degree with Lugar. Well, does Murundy do that? I mean, I don't know, maybe not. Really, yeah. But we but politically and whatnot, they are evolving and they're maturing, I guess, besides from what we've seen, right?
Oh yeah,
we're seeing some damaged places at times, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. We've been seeing damaged places since Rand actually started his real journey when he split the mountain, where his Tavern nature even brings really bad signs and really bad things to some places and really good things to others. So wherever, I mean, the world is changed. Rand is a walking, I don't even know what to call him. He's a walking
Baron.
Yeah, but
he's just a throbbing Tavern.
Listen, I've never challenged. I would never even think about challenging Jansen on his knowledge of the books, but I seriously doubt that Elida has a small taint. I'm just going to put that out there.
Though I feel like just based off her attitude, she probably has like a narrow butt.
You are muted, Deathman. You're muted.
Small taint, narrow butt. Wait, so we're going big taint, narrow butt?
Yep.
All right.
That's when you're muted, so you know.
And I said clenched was the word I thought of.
Okay.
way to jump in there.
Thanks.
You know,
whatever I can add.
just gold nugget right there.
There. All right, never mind. Never mind. Discretion.
Are you okay over there, Ryan?
No, yeah, I have a dragon, pet dragon.
I was about to say, that was a lot of smoke over there.
Where? So the story starts in Tar Valon. Jansen, is that correct?
It does.
Yeah, the prologue. Yeah.
And we're looking, like I said, Tar Valon is changing. It isn't how it used to be. There's starting to be street toughs walking around.
It's dangerous at night.
Dangerous at night. There's rats. Things are getting bad. This is not the Tar Valon that we started with. Tar Valon we started with was this place that you walked into. And not that it's still not a place of awe and mystery and things like that. It's just not the same.
Right. If you were just like a family of four showing up to Tar Valon for like a week, it would seem great.
Yeah, it would.
Cool bridges, awesome Ogier stonework, Your kid breaks a leg. There's a healer probably on every corner.
Amazing.
Like Disney World, except the prices keep you away.
Something really, really disappointed me from the show.
They charged $25 for parking.
You didn't get to see the sleeping cat in the city of Tarvalin, which is a giant inn that looks exactly like a sleeping cat. And
you're right.
But it looks like they took out all of those buildings.
Hill for whatever reason in Tarvalin, whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't get me started with that.
I guess maybe they called it the Amerlin's Blessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Tom?
It looked like they got rid of all of the like the buildings that
there was the one that looked like a giant wave.
Yeah.
There was the cat. There was a bunch of
fish
cool
market
buildings.
Looked like a school of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure most of it revolves around the, nonsense with COVID and budgetary reasons and things like that.
It's probably more budget than COVID. I mean, it's hard to make a building for 5 seconds that looks like a school of fish.
I mean, COVID affected their budget because of the, having to change all of their plans for filming and and the building of the sets and stuff like that.
Now, Ogier did not sing masonry.
But they were still very skilled at.
They were super skilled.
Yeah.
But they didn't sing it. It wasn't magic. It was just skill.
They tried to make stone look like live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They when Loyal, not even a mason, when he speaks of it, like he talks about how the Ogier longed for it to be like alive, so they did their best to make it look alive.
Mm-hmm.
Which is I actually, the more we talk about it, the more I regret that we didn't get to see it, because right now everything you're talking about in my imagination is like a silly Tim Burton style, like I can't imagine it. That's these things having that kind of elegance.
I'm kind of glad in a way that they didn't, because if they couldn't make it look like really, 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 really good, it would look cheesy.
It'd be good.
Not like look at the budget they put in that horn.
Oh God.
Yeah, God.
Sorry.
Frolic horns?
I
like how they were able to come off of the.
Well, I was talking about the horn of Valir, but whatever. The Tide bottle, Tide bottle of time.
I like to pretend that didn't happen, though.
I also pretend that didn't happen.
Dad Swain, have you ever seen a horn shaped like that, or do you understand the physics behind it?
Yeah. So, the first instrument I played was the French horn. So I was kind of hoping it would be reminiscent of that, in maybe not like a full blown, 21st century orchestral French horn, but something similar to the, like the circular with the big bell. That type of horn is what I always imagined. And I know they were going for something sort of different on that, and it had the circular shape to it, but it just seemed very, I don't know, clunky and not.
Well, it had no script on it either.
Yeah, there's
right.
Not that we could see, yeah.
Yeah, but it also just seemed impractical as a not that it was a musical instrument, but as a horn announcing.
Yeah, it
something.
didn't look like the air would flow properly in that thing.
No, it was too big.
Come on, it's a flugelhorn.
The only redeeming thing I've seen of it is something along the lines of like what Wada Holocausty said, where it was almost kind of shaped like a conch shell. Or
born and raised in Florida, I've been around conch shells. That is not a conch shell.
No. But it's similarly shaped to like not a horn, but like where a conch shell is like looks like a big rock essentially, but you could blow into it and make sound. But I've also seen comparisons to like indigenous, like not horns, but like like the what's that? The Aztec death whistle thing. It looks like a little block that they blow into. So I've seen a lot of comparisons to different types of instruments like that, but still, it should have looked more grand, in my opinion.
Beth, what do you think of it, Beth? Yeah.
I didn't like it. In my head, it's always been a cornet. That's what it's always been to me. Like basically a cornet is what they do reveille with in the mornings, and that's how I always pictured it.
A bugle? Is a cornet?
No, because a bugle. No, because a bugle is like a trumpet. Is more like a trumpet.
Yeah,
a
like
cornet
the-
is a trumpet without the. A cornet is like a trumpet
There
without
is
the
a
keys.
bugle.
Yeah, a bugle has no finger. A bugle is all mouth.
Yeah, the original
What am I
bugle.
thinking? Yeah, no, the cornet is like the smaller version of the flugelhorn with no
Oh.
finger thingamajiggies that
No
you were
valve,
showing.
okay, yeah.
Isn't
It's
there an
like a-
old black bugle at Sin Bowie's house?
Wait,
I have no
what?
idea.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Old black bugle?
they used it. As
Oh, no.
They used it during the Trolloc, the war against the Trollocs, as a signal. For a signal, a black bugle in Sin
Jesus.
Bowie's house. They
So was
found.
Sen Buey a horn blower in a different time?
Oh boy.
I don't know. Maybe.
Old black bugle, keep
now
on
I'm just starting to make
blowing.
shit up. Sorry.
That's why he's so angry.
That's why he's angry. He
Ricola.
didn't get called back.
I wanted the big Ricola horn, like the big, yeah, where he's wearing lederhosen and blowing in this thing that's on a stand 6 feet away.
You could have came out with a didgeridoo.
Yeah.
It just dawned upon me why that is a Ricola commercial, because if you have bad breath and you blow into that thing, you're just spreading it throughout the lands.
Yeah, you throw it over a valley.
So you have to take a Ricola before you even get touch your mouth on that thing.
I thought, isn't Ricola for coughing?
It's a
It is.
cough
Yeah,
syrup. It's a
it
cough
is.
It's a
Yeah.
But it's flavored.
Candy.
It's flavored, and it,
with
You're
honey.
flavored.
I used to just
Like-
eat
with,
that
like,
shit like
elderberry.
candy. Yeah, we used to eat that shit like.
Dude,
You know what? Your mom smells of elderberries.
All right, so Jansen, where do we go next after?
Well, let me ask. So,
Oh,
Tarvalon is a country and a city. I'm sorry, Ryan. Am I
City
bothering you with my curiosity? Tarvalon is really the only country city that, like, it's a city state, right? It's only one city, but it's a state, right?
It's like it's kind of like
The Vatican.
the Vatican in Rome.
Yeah.
But
Vatican
it's
City,
not
Vatican City.
entirely surrounded on all sides by one country.
no,
like
but
the
it's
Vatican.
surrounded by water.
Villages and towns.
Yeah.
It's surrounded by little bit villages and towns.
Where
and-
are those villages and towns? Are they
You're on
Tarvalon?
the other side of the
All right.
bridges.
No.
Let's get the map up.
Yeah. So, all right. So
That does
yeah.
tell us.
So the difference between no, it actually does, because
Let's go.
the difference between the Vatican is it's entirely encompassed by Italy.
Italy.
This is at the border, at like the century point. All roads do lead to Tarvalon.
Yep.
Look at
Yeah.
it.
Has
You
a
have
giant
giant
moat.
here.
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
zoom out.
So it's a
little
giant
bit.
moat, like it's an island with a giant moat around it, so it's very, very defendable. And it's got the bridges, and on the entryway to each bridge is a town or a, a
But
small-
then to the
But I
north
think
is
what he's
Darfeld,
asked- okay,
to the
so what he's
northwest is
asking is-
Candor, to the northeast is Shinar.
Is
Yeah.
Tarvalon in Andor? Is it in Carrion? Is it in? It's kind of like its own little world, and all of these countries or all these kingdoms kind of touch up to it.
A butt to it. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
butt to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
And-
essentially it's like if the Vatican was located more central Europe in between a bunch of European countries instead of
Yeah.
just being focally located in like Italy.
Right. All right. If the Vatican was Liechtenstein.
Yeah.
Liechtenstein.
That's
All right.
further, Dan. That's
All right.
exactly what I was
All
gonna
right.
say.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you
It's
for
not-
indulging my
it's
curiosity.
almost like the center of a pinwheel, though. Literally, they all like
It's like a wheel.
connect
It's like
up
a
to it.
circle.
Yeah.
It's like
That
a
is
wheel.
just it's just
Oh,
one
Tom.
city. So you would think that Tarvalon is like maybe like Los Angeles or New York, like a big city that has like a Koreatown or like a Beverly Hills, a Hollywood, something like that, right? Like where it's does have its own subdivisions, though. Right? What do you think, Beth? Am I hurt? Should we just move on?
I mean, are there
No,
districts? Are you acting like are there districts in Tarvalon?
Yeah, I mean, we would just naturally
yes.
assume.
Yes,
that-
there are districts in Tarvalon.
Yeah.
I immediately thought of like Little Saldea though.
I mean, well, no.
Little Chaldea.
I mean, you have North Harbor, you have South Harbor.
Giggity.
Those are districts in Tarvalon, and then you have, yeah.
Hell's Kitchens over down south.
I mean,
You have the
I mean,
Grove,
so-
the market.
That's what I mean. All right, we can move on now. I
And
guess.
just so you know, if you haven't noticed on this map in particular, there are 7 roads leading out of Tarvalon.
So
It's
just
like
to
a
make a
seven-spoked wheel. I wonder
Sounds like a seven-spoke wheel.
That's
I was
awesome.
just
I
counting the
never-
roads too to see.
Oh,
I wouldn't
no.
lie to you, Tom.
That's what.
Maddie.
That's
There's
right.
actually
sorry,
six
sorry.
roads leading out of Tarvalin. One of those is a river.
Doesn't matter. Counts.
It's a river.
It's a
road.
road.
It's a river
for
that goes
boats.
nowhere.
Listen.
The refuse river.
It's a cul-de-sac.
Oh, hey.
I'm just
there's-
saying there's six
There's
roads.
7 squigglies coming off the freaking circle.
1, 2, 3. But
We're
yeah,
calling
the one
them roads.
that the top one to the farthest left is a river. It's not a road.
Still
That's
counts.
a river. It's not a road. Just
Why-
saying.
Listen,
just
why you
saying.
gotta be so nitpicky?
Why do I have to be? It's not
I know.
nitpicky.
It's
It's accurate.
I was literally like I was simmering in a state of awe, and then the bubble popped.
I know.
Oh yeah, now we
said-
hate it. No,
Now we
dumb
totally
idea.
hate it. Thanks, Beth.
Gross.
Anytime.
Jeez,
That's what I'm here
no
for.
mathematical
That's-
significance
that
to
is
it
the
at
truth.
all.
That is
Dad's
the
Wayne.
truth.
Dad's Wayne. How long have you been in the U.S.?
Oh God, like over 20 years at least. Not, I think collectively probably 25 years.
Why can't you
I'm
talk
sorry.
like us?
No. Right.
Dad's
Let me-
Wayne
let
can't
me-
bring
I'm
out the Texas
so
accent.
sorry.
I've heard it. I
Come
haven't
on,
heard
it's
it.
20 years
I'm sure he
already.
gets that on a daily basis being in Texas enough. Why he doesn't need to come
But
here?
Well, I
Dad's
also
Wayne, you
feel
can bring
like-
it out. You
Yeah,
can bring
yeah.
out the Texas accent though. You can do
Yeah, I
it.
can.
I've
Like
heard
actually,
you.
on a lot of my videos, I use like a kind of funny character voice, so it doesn't sound like this at all. But I do feel like I have more of like a Tex Australian accent than an Australian
Australian.
accent
Okay.
at this point.
That is-
Have you discovered that Americans absolutely adore accents?
Yes.
We're on a big island that has Canada that sounds like us and Mexico that is a different language. So when we
Sounds
have
like us.
like English people that speak English but like have a funny accent, oh God, we love it.
Yeah,
We
I'm,
love it. Does Australia respond the same way to like American accents and stuff?
no, not really.
You know what? You know what Australians
Dan, are
do like
you?
though?
Yeah.
Australians like it when you say "sir" and "ma'am." It blows their freaking mind.
Yeah, it's like
It does.
this is next level politeness. Yeah, I feel like when I go home, I lose all my powers, and then when I come back to America, I'm like, here I am again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Brother,
Go right.
you're just basically asking him if he's getting laid a lot.
I'm saying no. All right, here's an example.
You're like, hey, with that accent, are you pulling
All right, no.
numbers or what?
Here's an example. I had a neighbor who was Scottish. We went to a bar in Long Beach. We took over a pool table, and people were upset because they intended to play, but they just stepped away, and they were aggressive about it. And my Scottish mate put on his. Oh, sorry, I'm new to your American custom. Within 5 minutes, everyone was buying shots. They were our best friends because he had a Scottish accent, and everyone was like,
That's
"Oh,
the accent.
like a little duckling. We have to save it." You know.
Did he call him right pair, like a pair of balls in a ball bag?
Oh, nice.
Thank you. I tried.
This is kind of on topic. It has to do with Scottish. There's a word that I learned a few years ago that is a Scottish term, and it's one of my favorite things ever. And it's mainly because I'm afflicted with it all the time.
Does it begin with C?
No,
All right.
but it is a fantastic. That is also a fantastic word, and I wish
Yeah.
the Americans would adopt it like the Europeans and the Australians have. No,
I do
it's
love that word.
it's herkle-durkle.
Yeah, the Herkle-Durkle.
I fucking love that word.
Laying
So-
around on a Saturday or whatever the
crazy.
hell it is.
Yeah, it means basically when you wake up in the morning and can't get out of bed and you kind of just snuggle in bed and don't leave. They call that
like me a good old
herkle-durkle.
Herkle-Durkle.
So good.
Fantastic.
Jesus, that's the least romantic phrase I've ever heard.
No, I
in my
love
life.
it. I love it. No, just Herkle Durkle.
We have a nice dinner.
What do you
We
guys
go
call
out on the
actually-
town and then spend a good Herkle-Durkle.
What do you call actual
You got it.
fucking then?
Shagging,
Rudy.
snog with a shag.
I'm asking
With a
the
bird?
Australian,
Oh,
P-Dizzle.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant my Scottish.
I guess maybe shagging. We use the word root as well. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna
They're very
Root? Like you're gonna root around in there? Like
yeah,
like
which is
a-
very confusing because when I got
like a-
here, and we did.
We call it
sports,
rut.
Everybody was like, "We're rooting for you," and I was like,
Oh my god,
You're
like
like,
a
"All right."
roto rooter?
It's
Jesus.
Very nice of you.
it's almost like if we say rutting, like when animals are rutting, they
What?
say
Oh.
root
Yeah.
Okay.
instead
Okay.
of rut.
I think
They're in
you know, like,
heat.
Okay,
effing
well,
is probably
speaking
another.
of,
We just did it. We just did it like that as well.
All right, yeah, Jansen.
rituals, we're in Tarvalin, we're passing for Tyrion, which the courting rituals are a little weird, and we're passing that by and moseying on into Andor.
Yeah.
You think
Andor,
Andor-
they go to they go to Amador in the
Been talking about- we have talked about Andor before, but as
no, Amador.
Amador.
No, well, aren't we going into Andor right now?
No, but I mean in the prologue they go to Amador too.
That is true. So
All
are
right,
we
going back to Amador, our favorite crappy place, which is where the hell is it?
And I don't know if that list I sent was chronological, to be honest.
No problem. I did prepare by it, but it's okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Amador and
Way to go,
Amadisia.
Peter.
So Amador, we're in Amadisia, which also another place, and I don't know if Robert Jordan did this purposefully, but it is another place where the taint of Padan Fane has taken its effect.
That is true.
And people are more suspicious than they were before. Padron Nile is gotten a little bit stupider. That's another side effect, I believe, of Padan Fane's taint, is that people kind of get stupid. Elida got way stupider than she was at the beginning.
Yeah, she was extremely. She was very, very conniving at the beginning, and then she kind of
became stubborn to stupid ideas.
I would say she wasn't stupid. I would say she became very self-absorbed in her narcissism, overruled her intellect. I don't think that she's ever stupid. I think she lets the thought that she was the person who was going to her foretelling that she had about the White Tower, and she thought she was going to be the wielder of the power from that, and she became totally self-absorbed.
Yeah,
totally. What's the word I'm looking for? Where she can do no wrong, where she can, she's infallible, and she became.
You're right.
Well,
Beth.
this and
power hungry. She got power hungry. Yeah. And
but
corrupted
no,
by the power.
she was supported in her mind by prophecy. So it's the same thing that Elaine does, was saying, "Oh, my babies are going to be fine." Fuck
exactly.
You. I mean, she thought. I mean, she rightfully thought she was misguided, but she rightfully thought that this was her role, and so everything she was doing, she thought was.
I think you guys are all right.
And the Black Aja. The Black Aja.
I think the same thing can be said about Padron Nile. I think you're all right.
Yeah,
absolutely,
right.
Absolutely, because the Black Aja masterfully set Elida up as a puppet.
Well,
masterfully, right?
Like Elida.
Elida is kind of what we would call a certain politician nowadays. She's a useful idiot, where she's not necessarily not that she's unintelligent, but they use her own personal character flaws, which she has in and of herself, completely independent of the Black Aja and prophecy, narcissism, self-centeredness, lack of empathy, things like that. And then the villains of the world use that against her, which is kind of a great example of why you don't want someone like that in power.
Exactly.
So I got a question. So to go on with, I believe it was Jansen saying that you get really stupid. There's whether or not it's stupidity or something definitely happens when you're under sway of Padan Fane. What function is happening here? Like, how is this happening? Is he like
the anti-Tavern?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, right? Padan Fane is corrupted by Mordith, right? What happened in Shadar Laga? It was that darkness that corrupted the entire city. It turned them all upon each other, that's the same stuff, which is separate from the Dark One.
Yeah, it's
It's
the embodiment of human evil. I would say, like,
yeah. So is it like does it just radiate off of him, like in a
it's
proximal?
that's pretty evident. That's pretty evident throughout the series. It seems like it kind of Paddon Fane's aura kind of exacerbates everyone else's flaws around him.
But is he making the people he's influencing do the things he wants them to do, and how and what is that?
Well,
so is it compulsion mixed with pain, mixed with?
I think it's just fear.
I think
it's just the epitome of fear. Like he walks around and it corrupts everybody. 2, he leads by fear. It's not until a couple of books in that he starts you start seeing him be more manipulative, right? Like book 3, book 4, because at the beginning, when he first took the horn and all that stuff, he was just killing people. He's just smiting people left and right, scaring the crap out of them.
Ailing fades alive.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but Jansen, near the end, it seems that he has a heavy influence from Machin Shin in that he's almost like this foggy, weird.
I think that
It's Mashadar. It's Mashadar.
Oh, I'm sorry, Machin.
Yeah, but Machin Shin did influence him though.
Yes.
When he went through the ways.
Right.
But I mean, even in his own POV, he says he's something old, something new, mixed into one. And by the end of the book, he is a walking force of nature.
Yeah,
He would just need
he
something
got corrupted by
good
the
and
Dark
fine.
One. He got corrupted by the Dark One, sort of like Gollum, right? He gets corrupted by Mashadar. It is something old and something new. He becomes something completely different.
So back to Jansen's point, then, Dad's point. Do you think that that Paddon's Fane is influencing people to become dumb?
No, I think the nature of his power has a random element to it. Like he has like a buildup of something, and then he either uses it through the dagger by slashing and killing and whatevering, or he can release it in some way, I think, and then it's kind of like out of his system, and he's like not sure what's going to happen, but it's going to be fun, and so he leaves it like that. So I think also, like, as he is walking about, like his kind of like in Shadow Logos, they were like, don't touch anything, barely breathe if you can. Anything is going to influence you, whether or not you're, touching everything.
And he was Scrooge McDuck, just diving into things.
Exactly. And so he's like infused with it. And I think wherever he goes, it kind of leaks out or seeps out in some way. And so there is an effect on people around him and things around him, whether he's aware of how he can like manipulate and control that to a specific intent. I don't think so. I think he's just kind of like, he has an intent to obtain his purposes and his goals, but as he is doing that, there's all this other kind of like,
So let's take
the word that I like to use with him is permeate. He kind of his aura, his whatever, just permeates into everything around him. I mean, it even affects the White Cloaks in the Two Rivers. I mean. He grabs
that's not saying much.
No, but I mean, the White Cloaks are White Cloaks, but the ones in the Two Rivers with him were a whole nother level.
Well, they showed up. They came with him, though. Remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So by the time they got to the Two Rivers, he had already kind of spread into them too, and they were even worse than the regular White Cloaks.
Just like if you follow the example, like you said he's kind of like Smeagol in Lord of the Rings, which he was, like that was his analogous in when he wrote Eye of the World in the first place, and the dagger was kind of like the ring.
Yeah.
The dagger, and also Paddon Fane, because of Mashadar and because of Machin Shin and because of the Dark One.
Yep.
He kind of radiates an aura of negativity, and the way think about like the bubbles of evil. So like the bubbles of evil aren't a specific occurrence. Like they don't have like a purpose when they're floating around. They're just like basically anti-Tavern. They're like the worst possible thing that could possibly happen in the moment when they happen. And that's kind of like what Pat and Fane is, but on like a more like less, I don't want to say a less degree, but it happens slower. Like he just basically influences everything, including people, in a negative way.
Yeah.
Well, and he kind of brings out the negative in people, and which everyone has. Everyone has character flaws. Some are worse than others, and that's kind of what he does to everyone that he meets.
Is there something that is attractive about him? Because he literally is like the most untrustworthy person. He's
charismatic.
He's very charismatic. Yeah.
His
very good with
words. One of his personas is.
Yeah.
Right.
But is it so? It's not magic. It's just that he's charismatic and he saddles up to like powerful people, and he's not using intentions to create like output. He is just being there, and by him being so tainted, everything just
that part of him. That part of him is, I personally, and as I read in the books, it always is the essence of Mordeth.
Yes,
Mordeth
absolutely
pulled the influence in Shadar Logoth, and that's how he manipulates and gets into these circles that you wouldn't think he'd be able to get into.
Well, have you guys noticed that somehow, for some reason, anyone who has been in front of the Crystal Throne somehow has a small buffer from Pat and Fane?
Yes, that's because
I saw
they
weren't affected the same way.
Right.
I don't know if it has anything to do with the Crystal Throne directly, or if it's just like, all of the like, I would say pretty much any of the characters at least that have been there. And really, like, I feel like anyone who would end up in front of the Empress of the Shanshan would probably be strong-willed, like a strong-willed person. And I think that is probably more influential toward resisting the dagger's effects than others. Even that is not even to say that you're a good person, like, because I'm sure like Ishamael can resist it for
Moraine, anybody around him too long would still get some of that.
Well, think about talking about the White Cloaks who are influenced by him, right? They continue to be influenced by him for the entire series. The doubts and insecurities. Dane Bornhold has a drinking problem throughout the entire series. What's his name? Oh my God! Why can't what?
Jared.
Oh, sorry, Dad Swing. No, I
don't have a problem.
Oh my God! What is the name?
You have a problem.
What's the name of
define problem?
What's the name of the White Cloak? Who
Byer?
is? Thank you, Byer. His neuroses and everything just gets worse and worse and worse, and you would see it. And the thing that Tavern was talking about was like in the Shadow Rising, when they were in the two rivers, you had two different camps of White Cloaks.
Yep.
You had the ones that were entrenched in with Ordeath, or as they knew him.
Yeah.
What were their tents weren't straight. They were becoming careless and sloppy and drinking while they were off duty. So they weren't really. So I mean, his influence does, like Tavern said, permeate into wherever, and he convinced them to kill all of Perrin's family.
Yeah.
But Dane Bornhold
take a lot of convincing.
Dane Bornhold has a content of character that goes probably thanks to his father, who, even though he was flawed, wasn't a terrible human being. I mean, it was pretty terrible because he was a White Cloak, but you know what I mean. He was a honest person.
He made his bed every morning.
I think it's alignment based. To not make D&D, but
I would
the
agree.
better a person you are, the longer it takes for you. So if you're neutral, or if you're kind of iffy already, it just it hits you quicker.
Yeah,
right.
I would agree. So
negative character flaws are more prevalent generally in worse people, because that tends to be why they're bad characters in the first place.
To your guys' point, then, what is Pat and Fane? We admit that he is something old and something new. He's something different.
Borrowed and blue.
Borrowed and blue. He is the perfect bride.
Gift. Bride gift.
Is he let me give a couple examples. Is he the anti-Tavern? The way that he is adjusting people?
No.
Also, and or is he completely outside of the pattern itself?
No.
If
he's
he
not.
has an evil that is not part of the Dark One. So
No.
I
okay. All
would
right,
say
I don't think-
I would say he's-
Unknowable. Next.
I would say he's like an
No.
anti-paladin.
I can see why you're
anything.
saying that. I could definitely see why you're saying that, and I think the pattern would have a.
He
I-
became
I-
like
I
a
don't- I don't wanna say
pod
he's
with
completely-
face.
Yeah, I don't
at
want to
the
say
end.
he's outside of the pattern, only because like that's like I don't know. Like I think maybe he might be partly removed in the sense of like I would really be curious what happens to his soul when he dies.
See, I think that every single being in the Wheel of Time has a counterpart. And I think Padan Fane's counterpart would have to be the Green Man.
Oh shit, Jansen! I
The
love you
Green Man-
so much.
But the Green Man isn't like a lone being.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
he's,
a race.
He is at the end.
Yeah, but that's-
actually,
because
he's
He
not.
was a race.
One.
He was
Technically,
a
I'll
race.
be honest with you. I
Construct.
think the antithesis of Padan Fane would be Galad,
No.
where Galad is a paladin, like who tries to do everything that's right.
God doesn't have any magical properties. I'm telling you, Robert Jordan made everything have.
He could have though, couldn't he have channeled? If
He doesn't
wanted to?
always. I don't think he always has a counterpart.
How does Padan Fane stab a Myrddraal to a door through its eyes? Guys,
Carefully.
how does
Very
this
carefully.
happen? Well, I don't think
Very
Land could do
carefully.
that. Seriously,
It's-
could Land
the
do that?
only reason why
Right?
I
Do you
would
think?
not-
But
Tom,
did,
did
did-
Land
okay,
do that?
so did he do it? We just see the Myrddraal, in the show, but in the books, they find the Myrddraal stuck
Yeah,
to the
he
door. We didn't
fucking
actually
did
see it happen.
it.
Then
No.
actually see what happened. Did he have his people hold the Myrddraal and then do it?
What
In
does
his-
that even
like he
mean,
did it
though?
himself.
In his own POV, he talks to himself about holding the hammer up and driving it in himself.
Yeah, but holding the hammer up and drive. Think about that.
I doubt the Myrddraal would
How are
stand
you
there and
gonna-
let him do it.
How
is
are
what
you
he's
going to
saying.
hold this Myrddraal and hammer it at the same time with if
But-
your hands are full with the hammer and the nail?
So what I think would probably happen is the he probably, and we see him do it later in the books. He has a control over Trollocs as well because they are more afraid of him than they are of the Myrddraal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what Robert Jordan was getting to with that, is that the Trollocs are more fearful of Padan Fane than they were of the Myrddraal. So like
Which is
they were
something.
willing to hold him while Padan Fane nailed him to the door.
Dad's Wayne, what did the distilling that occurred with Padan Fane have? Did that increase his powers,
Trollocs?
do you think?
Aussie, Bottle Holocaust, he said Trollocs held the and I'm just picturing a bunch of like prostitutes. And,
Wait,
like,
do you guys call spell check
Yeah.
spell wreck?
Bunch of trollops.
Is that an Aussie thing?
Trollops.
Bunch of
He
hussies.
said damn spell wreck. Is that like for autocorrect? Is that the word
Yeah.
for autocorrect in Australia?
Spell wreck.
Because
So
that's what
anyway,
I'm using from now on.
Amadecia.
Swear to God,
was
I'm
the
using
great-
that from now on.
in the essence,
Ideally.
I know then the surefire. I know that Beth needs to get off early. So
Yes.
aren't we going over to from here? We're going to whose POV? I think it's Savannah's, right? We're going to Demias Wells.
Might
Might as well, yeah.
Do-
All right, hold on. My favorite place in the book in the whole books. Let me
So
find it.
Dumais Wells is named after a travel spot. It is wells that people would go and like have their horses kind of water up. They can get some clean water. I think there was a shack or two, but there was it wasn't developed.
You can find boxes for like wrapping gifts and stuff.
You can yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it was a special spot because, like, if you think of it in the terms of like the setting of the world, it was a halfway point in between Tarvalin and Kyrian,
Yep.
a place to water horses to get water because it was literally, they call it Dumais Well. It was literally 3 stone wells
Yep.
where you can get water.
Yep.
And it was
Yep.
halfway between Tarvalin and Kyrian.
Was there
And
someone
now-
called
With
Dumais?
the
Like,
blood of Shido and
we assume so. I think
other places, other
Dumais.
forces. There was a battle there, so the land is definitely, I don't know if it's changed, but it is blood soaked. And it is now a place of reverence, I guess you could say, or even, it's a place where the worst
that happened.
It's funny that you said blood soaked because we talked about the two rivers, right? And Emmons Field as being blood soaked as well.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
Well, it also has oh shit, when I was reading it, it has a biblical reference too.
Wow.
Because there's supposed to be a big battle that happens there, but like biblically, like in the Christian and Hebrew Old Testament, in the Old Testament.
Like
so I'm pretty sure that's where where
called Demise. It's not called Demise as well, right?
What's up?
Can you imagine?
Was it like with general?
Yeah, what do they call it in the Bible?
I think it's also called Dumai's Wells. Yeah,
that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So how do you, sir?
That's crazy. Well, Dumai's Wells is literally blood soaked. I can't think of a more bloody execution of battle that we've had besides Dumai's Wells. They were just straight out splitting people in two, and
they took a giant
meat grinder.
Went
meat
over
grinders,
thousands of people.
It wasn't fire. Fire is not bloody so far. I mean, you know,
but only because I want to make sure we don't go too far off on a tangent again for Beth's sake. The actual location of Dumai's Wells was important because of its physical location and because of the fact that, you know, it was kind of like what did Lottie said in chat. It was kind of like a rest stop, which things like that would be very important for travelers.
Yeah.
In the setting of the Wheel of Time.
And you can see just how close they got to actually getting him back to Tarvalon.
Right, it's like Barstow, right?
Very, very close.
Barstow.
Yeah,
don't say Barstow.
Keep bringing up Barstow.
Or El Centro. El Centro coming in from San Diego.
El Centro, okay, yeah, all right. It could be, let's see, Gorman.
All right, who's next? What? So yeah, where do we go next? Is it Dorland?
Right now.
What, are we in Dorland? Yeah,
I believe we're going in I think we're going into Piran's point of view in chapter 1.
Yeah, it's all Dumai's Wells for like 3 chapters or something like that.
Yeah. Dumai's Wells in chapter 1 is High Chazeline. And we're going, and from there we talked about a lot of POVs, and we just talked about Dumai's Wells. We know what happened there. Randa's, getting his gumption together, and they're going now into Carrion. And
that was easy.
That's chapter 3, which is Hill of the Golden Dawn. Jesus. And we're going into Carrion. And Carrion has been changed because what's happening now in Carrion that was different in the earlier books is Carrion has gone through so many different things, probably more changes than any other great city and country right now, because they've gone through poverty, they've gone through famine, they've gone through Couladin, and they've gone through Rand himself coming there and changing everything.
And the initial Aiel War.
Yeah, the nobles are starting to get their footing again. And some of the changes that they even talk about in the books are that the nobles aren't how they used to be. They were more arrogant and more faceted for partying and things like that, especially some of the men. Now the men are taking up military gear, and they're starting to look like military men now instead of the nobles that they used to have, because they've been going through this so much. They know Tarmangaden's coming now.
They're no longer complacent.
There is a lot of political turmoil, and they're going into Carrion with Colivert already on the Sun Throne after plotting to manipulate herself there, knowing that Rand was going to be caught by Elida's minions.
Yep.
Yeah. And so Kyrian, I think they introduced early as being a weird place, and so it makes sense that they are the ones that are offering up the most dissent to Rand's rule, right?
I don't know.
We go ahead.
I don't know if it would be the most dissent. I mean, like Tyr, like outlawed channeling. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, I think the Kyrian are more politically motivated than like they're the most politically motivated place that we've seen.
Yeah.
And it's funny how the changes in Carrion are mirrored in the changes in Moraine. It's almost parallel the way she changes and the way the city changes. It's really interesting.
Very cool. I've never
Well,
looked
in Kyrian too, like the game of houses is like the thing, and so we're seeing that not on just the aristocracy level, but also like they said the servants and the shopkeepers and everybody has their own section of the game of houses. It's all very political, not just on the leadership governmental level, but even in the streets, everybody's just got a manipulative kind of political mind.
Which is very much like France was.
Right. Well, let me get back to Tavern. So you mentioned the Moraine connection. So that has me thinking. Moraine became subservient to Rand shortly after this, right? Right around this time.
I mean, it was one of those things. I mean, it started off when they went into the waste, right? Into the Yael waste.
halfway through.
Right, when she was like, okay, I've tried my way. Listen, whatever you need from me, I will behave however, but you need to listen because I have things that I have to teach you. And she just became more human. And that's how I look at Carrion.
Was that after she went into the Redstone doorway?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
After she went through through Ruidian.
And Ruidian.
Yeah, and Ruidian.
It was a sense of desperation because she knew what was going to happen between her and Lanfear.
Yeah.
And
she also had some
knew
answers to whatever the questions
and she
were.
was and she was desperate at that
I hope
point.
she had the answer about falling in love with freaking Tom because nobody else saw that shit coming. Whatever.
It was very forced.
She hints at it many times in the book.
Yeah, he does too. He keeps
Tom
calling
is
her
like,
impressive.
She's got some good ankles.
Like she hints at it really early.
Yeah, still was forced.
Tom, when she sends Tom to follow Elaine and Nynaeve with the Sea Folk.
Hey.
It's even earlier than that. It's when they're all journeying together to Bearlawn because she laughs in delight at his joke or his trick. He did a trick with something and she laughs in delight.
They were gonna get roughed up by some street toughs on a dock, and he whips out his knives and starts flourishing them.
It's the flourish. And also, Ryan, the old adage: you make them laugh at night, you make them breakfast in the morning.
This is why I'm thinking this joke.
What adage is this?
When we see Tom again.
Come on,
Our brother Dan's adages.
That's Tom's MO right there, baby.
Tom's MO.
Tom.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
my
think of all the
God.
heads he turned when he fought the Murdrawl in Whitebridge with flourishing. He probably got lucky after that. You never know.
Does Tom have what's Tom's like saying when he goes in for the kill? Like it's like there's Alfidazane.
He
I'm
pulls
getting too old
out.
for
He
this shit.
starts juggling and says, "Watch my balls."
Okay. Watch my balls.
Watch
that
my
works.
balls.
Just catch and throws a knife at them.
You know
Watch
who doesn't get a little heated for a guy who has hidden knives everywhere?
Not gonna
Right.
lie, and I will say that that's the one thing on the show that it was one of the first things on the show that I was like, "That's pretty amazing." When he fought the Murdrawl at the farm, and he chucked like 5 or 6 daggers. In that room, it was amazing. I was like, "Yep, that's Tom."
But Tavern, this is why we have metal detectors at to go to a Tigers game
Exactly.
because of Tom.
Freaking
He's just pulling knives out of his beard, out of his hair.
They're like they're like. So many.
And he'll get you from anywhere.
He'll get you from anywhere, right?
Yeah. You missed the opening pitch. He'll knife you.
That's too
All right,
funny.
and we're Jansen. Keep this ball rolling.
Yeah, let's
This
do
is-
it.
Keep us in
No,
line, man.
like I said, we were in Carrion, and now we're going into where are we going into now, Tom? Are we going to?
Camelin. Well, they go to the Sun Palace, and they're in Camelin for like 5 chapters or something like
Then they
that,
go to
and then they go to Andor.
By the way,
Camelin.
let's rank palaces. Where do you rank the Sun Palace, the Andor Palace, the Astona Tier? Let's see, what other big castle is there? There's let's do those 3.
The Wine Spring Inn.
The White Spring Inn.
Do we count the Amerlin Seed in Tarvalon? Do we call?
No, Tarvalon will probably win. So let's take Tarvalon out.
Astona Tier dominates everything as far as largeness.
What's
I
the
think his
what's the
presence is Camelin.
coolest place?
I think
Camelin?
Militarily speaking, the Stone of Tyr, I think, like architecturally, like beauty, I lean toward more Camelin than Kyrian, only because, or at least in the books, it seems like the architecture is more French based and less Japanese. Whereas I feel like if it was more Japanese, because Kyrian is Japan and France,
right?
But like, if it was, I like the aesthetic of the Japanese architecture. So like, if it was more Japanese influenced in the architecture, I would like that more. But I like the Andor, the new city, the inner city, is where the royal palace is, and it's one of the newer parts of. I would say it's one of the newer capital cities in the world, really, because it was built more recently than most of the others.
I think so. So Splendor would be Camelin, and just like when you walk in, you feel the power. I think would be Carrion.
What about the Shanshan throne room, Dan?
Oh,
We gotta add that in.
Oh, we have no idea.
Well,
I don't know if we know.
They have the one power on their side, so
yeah.
I think it kind of wins by default.
Yeah.
Or they'll make you think it wins. One of the two.
Yeah. They're cheating.
But I always think of Kyrian as like, I guess third. Like I think Andor's up here. I guess the Stone of Tyr because it had like Kalendor floating in the big room. That's awesome. And then
But nobody gets to see that.
Yeah, no one goes there.
But still.
For me, I always thought of Carrion as France for some reason. I don't know why.
It is France. No, it's France.
Japan and
Yeah,
France.
France and Japan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Dallas.
that's
It's like 13th, 14th century France and Japan.
Amazing food. Like good Vietnamese, super good food.
Good food trucks.
Good food. awesome tacos.
It's got Kogi croissants.
Carrion, I would think speakeasies in Carrion, right? Because all the nobles have to hide their partying, except for that one day of the year where they just freaking do it.
I thought the nobles like got off on like partying in.
They do. They're
like,
very well. That's their French. That's the French influences. They're very. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was during the festivals that they kind of let go and went
They-
bananas.
I mean, but in the upper echelons of society in Kyrian, there's always parties and balls going on.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. They're doing some freaky
Constantly.
shit behind closed doors for sure.
And not even behind closed doors.
No, but
like
they
when
only-
they went
no,
to
no.
Barthanes' manor, he was having
Yeah.
a ball.
But that's behind closed doors, as in a manor house. They only do the crazy shit in public that during that one.
Oh,
Well,
freaking
yeah, but
time.
I'm not. But
So,
they're
like,
not.
they don't
They're not
like-
so reserved that they're
Yeah,
not,
they're not reserved.
entertaining. That they're
That's the
not.
word that I'm looking for.
You know,
But that's
austere.
but that's the nobles. That's the nobles in their noble area when they party with the locals. It's not like Abu Dar where everybody
Mhm.
mixes in together, right?
No, yeah, like the French, the French influence is mostly in the nobility of Kyrian, and the Japanese cultural influences is very much in the common people of Kyrian.
Yeah,
we
it's
know
weird.
that Kyrian has a bunch.
Chinese-
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Dad's playing. Go ahead.
No, I just said it's Wheel of Time, Bridgerton.
That's I.
That's
I
not-
like
Do we have
Oh
do
my
we have a
God.
Wheel of Time version
Someone
of
write a
Mr.
fan
Fingerton? And can
We
I meet him,
should.
please?
Oh my
someone
God.
write a fan fiction of Wheel of Time.
Lady whistle down to die.
Mr. Fingerton, please.
Who would be the
What a name, though.
gossip column?
What a name, Mr.
So
Pinkerton.
speaking of festivals, we know that there are certain towns and countries that have pretty decent festivals where cats cut loose, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
let me ask the five of you. I'm here wearing a dress. I'm here. This is Pride Month, the last day. Where would
nice
you
one.
most want to? Where do you think would be the most raging Pride festival? The best festival, best parade, best experience. Do you think?
Abadar.
Abu Dhar, yeah.
I'm going to say Carrion. I'm going to say
Miami.
Carrion because they're so repressed so much of the time that when they cut loose, they cut loose. And their Pride Festival would be insane.
I could
But the
totally
gossip would be
see-
crazy.
Yeah, like Kyrian Pride would be like next level.
Yeah, it would be a whole.
Like
It's like
Folsom
all that shit
I
that they've been
mean-
hiding. Is, "Ah."
But it would be like
I
it would be
would
like
surprise you
Folsom
guys that it
Street
would be an
or
Arafel.
Yeah,
Arafel? You
yeah.
think?
Arafel would be absolutely.
All right. Well,
If you remember
justify.
Lord Baldari.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
the sword. Who was he? The sword bearer for Amathera, was it?
Mhm.
Lord Baldari, who liked men. Lan even mentioned it in his POV that he loved men, and that on the trip from the Borderlands to Farmatting, one day he had changed his outfit 3 times.
Wow.
like Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey.
And he's an
He's like-
essential. He's an essential
he's a-
commander in the last.
Yeah, well, I mean,
one who noticed it.
that's just a gay person living in that country. though.
Yeah, that's
You're
just,
right,
that's
right.
just an openly
But
gay
they
person.
go out of their way to talk
I
about
don't
it,
know.
so that tells me that it's accepted there.
It is
Yeah, it is.
progressive.
Well,
Yeah,
but-
for sure.
But
Yeah,
the question
yeah,
was who would have the wildest party?
Yeah.
I get-
Sexuality, the sexuality is accepted everywhere.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think Wheel of Time did good in some senses and bad in some senses. There's a lot of examples of how they kind of fall into the shtick of the bury your gays type thing, where it's like they don't talk about it in a way that is seeming like they're kind of hiding it. Well, where RJ was kind of hiding it, but at the same time, it's nice because they don't talk about it in a way that it's like not a thing. Like no
Right.
one cares. Like no
Yeah,
one
exactly.
cares that if
Yeah,
someone is
that's what
gay
I
or
love
straight.
about
or-
it. That's actually what I love about it, because that's how I feel in real life.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit who the hell somebody's
Yeah.
screwing.
Well,
So I don't care if they're gay or not. If they kissed each other, great. And they even do that when the first time that Moraine and Swan kiss. She's like, it's when she comes out after the testing, and in Moraine's POV, she says to Swan, Swan's POV, Moraine says to her, "Would you like healing?" And she gets healed, and she said she loved it so much she thought that she would kiss her, and she did. And that was
Yeah,
it.
I think
It's more.
sorry,
It's
just
more like
jump
they
in.
don't use it as a negative. Like it's not like they're. It's not like
normalized.
It's,
It's
character-
very normalized in the books.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Go ahead, and then let me talk. Go.
Okay.
No. You go. You go.
It
Oh, no,
does
I
no,
feel
think-
Beth can
like-
go. Sorry.
I'll go.
Sorry.
I want to go.
I think that I personally think that Tarvalon would not have a pride. I think
disagree.
that
Yeah, I think they definitely would.
I do feel like-
I think
like-
that this is something that they recognize and accept as being something that you outgrow. There isn't really. I think they accept it,
That's
but
a failing of
don't
Robert Jordan, not
celebrate
of-
it.
But
I don't
know.
think
I
that
think-
they celebrate it.
Herself,
No, 'cause
the
there's-
Evelyn
there's-
sees herself being gay.
Yeah, there's lots of lesbians in the White Tower, so it is very
Right, but
accepted,
but it's
I think-
regressed, isn't it?
But that's
no.
that's a failing of Robert Jordan's writing and not of the Aes
Well,
Sedai
because-
themselves.
Well,
How is it a
Galena
failure? Because
was
here's,
like-
okay,
No,
ahead,
go ahead,
Ed,
Dan.
please.
Explain.
Yeah.
So Galena is lesbian, and then I think what it is that they are kind of like, "Hey, girl, I like your whatever," and then they're kind of like, "Not interested." And there is an acceptance of that isn't kind of like, "Oh my god, ew." It's just kind of like, "Yeah, not really interested." And I think Tarvalin's pride would be. Each pride in each city has its own personality. I think Tarvalin pride would be this kind of like sort of corporate, reserved, sort of like, here we are, we're
okay.
queer, we're here. I hope you like it. Whereas
We'll give you
Kyrian
2
would be like,
alleys that you can shut up to.
2 alleys.
Yeah.
You get 2 alleys by the
Yeah.
cat and the wave.
Right.
drag
Okay.
queens everywhere, just cross-eyed drag queens on a skateboard going down the, everything. Kyrian would be outrageous, but I think Tarvalin pride would be more kind of reserved and more corporate, but they would still celebrate it.
Corporate is the
Here's my
perfect,
thing. I don't think.
word.
Okay,
I think.
so we're imposing our world onto the wheel right now, right? With pride,
Of course.
because in that world there wouldn't be a pride because it's
They
so
wouldn't need to.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
it's so
don't
normal
need
that
to
they
have
wouldn't
it.
need to have it.
Yeah. They could do
So-
like a rainbow
because hold on, and I think this is important, especially because of a lot of people don't know why pride is a thing. Pride is a thing because of the Stonewall riots in New York when gay people were persecuted and arrested and violently attacked, and there was a big riot that lasted like 5 or 6 days in New York, and it was started by a black drag queen, and pride specifically represents that, and that's why it's a thing in our, like, it's turned into more of just being a celebration of being gay, but it's also, or just not straight, really, because like everyone was prosecuted. Like I said, it was started by a black drag queen. So
I think, just to touch on that just tiny bit, and then we can move on. But I think we have to remember in that period of time, like it was so illegal. Queer people had to be so hidden. You could get fired, you could get blacklisted from everything, and the trans
arrested.
and arrested, absolutely arrested. And that was kind of what was happening, is that the police were coming into the Stonewall Inn to arrest everyone, and that's when they were like, you know what, we're sick of this, and we're not going to take it anymore. Let's throw a brick.
Yeah.
So how many of us were in the military or prior military during Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
Yeah.
Now,
How many of us have friends that were dishonorably discharged because they found out that they were gay?
Yep.
Yeah. I got fired.
So I mean, so to a certain degree, isn't the White Tower more or less Don't Ask, Don't Tell? They're like, yeah, they were pillow friends when they were novices, but now we're Aes Sedai, and you can't do that anymore.
Hold on. Can I just say something real quick about all of this from a female point of view, please?
100%. Please.
Okay. This is the thing.
Hold on, Jensen.
Hold on. Let me just from a
Jensen.
female point of view, okay?
Get
Y'all are coming very much at it from it's a label.
Mhm.
In the eyes of the Aes Sedai, it is just part of who they are. It's not. It's not part of their identity as an Aes Sedai. It's part of their identity as the person behind the Aes Sedai, and there's no need to publicize your relationships that you have. You have to think that the Aes Sedai are very much like a monastic order in our time, right? In our world, they are a single sex organization. There are going to be women in that, whether it is for temporary release, pleasure, or people who fall in love with other people because they are surrounded by women most of the time. Prevalent or prevailing so in the Red Aja, and those are where you see most of the people who identify as lesbian in the books. You've got Elida, who is a lesbian.
Who are called that they hate men.
Who is a lesbian.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to hate men to love women.
Oh, sure. But that's
right?
a distinction that's generally made. They're like, oh, this person
About the
doesn't
red
like
eye
men. They'll
stuff.
probably be red. Go ahead, Jensen.
Right.
What were you going to say?
So I think like we're also forgetting like a couple of things. Like we were talking about how for everything there's a yin and a yang in the Wheel of Time. Sexually, even in the White Tower, you find that as well. And that's with, the Reds, but one of the reasons why the Reds stay away from men a lot is like even in Pavara's point of view later on in the books, she says that when you become a Red, eventually you get a jaundiced view of all men. So that's her exact POV. And that transforms to how you look at men sexually. Yeah. And then the Green, which is their opposite, have a very, very different look at men. And that even goes into the fact when other Ajas are talking about Greens, they say, oh God, she's as bad as a Green. And they talk about that because Greens are very open with their, at least the way that they look at men and the way that they talk about men. In the show, we saw orgies, so they have different views. But Aes Sedai as a whole are reserved about everything, not just sex. Anybody outside of the White Tower who sees one of these,
they don't want them. Yeah,
they're reserved.
Yeah,
woman who is completely like serene and as one face. Like they think, oh, Aes Sedai. They don't think green, yellow, red. Sometimes they think red, the more knowledgeable ones, but they keep all pretty much hidden.
You make a very good point, and only the Greens are the ones who marry their warders. Every other Aja, for the most part, it's very rare for them to marry.
Well, so here's
very rare. But and I agree. I agree with Jansen on that. But it's also a little bit to a different, a higher degree. It's not just like I think the Reds are and the Greens are like self-fulfilling prophecies, kind of a little bit about men, where like the whole formation of the Aja exists around purpose, a singular purpose. So, there's a lot of misogyny built into it too.
There is that only men can be warders. There's so much misogyny built into that statement right there.
So, and you almost never see like especially in the Eurocentric Westlands, there's no female soldiers. So like, since the Green are the battle Aja and they're going to be doing the fighting, they have soldiers and the soldiers are men. And since the Red Aes Sedai hunt men who can channel, men hate them. But it's not just that. It's also the Aes Sedai, all Aes Sedai, doesn't matter regardless of their Aja, are women in power. And a lot of the men will just resent them because and they talk about that in the books too, how I think Moiraine talks about how it takes a certain type of man to be able to be in a relationship with an Aes Sedai because of the power that she holds in just that she is an Aes Sedai.
Lan even tells it to Nynaeve in the Eye of the World.
Exactly.
He lays it out very plainly to her.
Yeah. So there's a lot of layers that go to it, and it's in a lot of ways it's good, and in a lot of ways it's not. I think again it's not really done perfectly, but it's done really well for the person who did it, a straight white older man from the South, and in the time that it was written.
Yeah, I do think
the only thing I wanted to mention was the failing of Robert Jordan's part, and to get back to Ryan's point, Dan's point about how they kind of how it's kind of seen as they grow out of it. That's less canonical, like in the story, and more like that's the part of where I'm talking about how it's like a failing on Robert Jordan's part, where it's like the way he writes the Pillow Friends kind of thing is like it's like a thing they did in school, and then when they get older to get out, they find a man, like Swan found a man, and
or just become asexual.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Well,
or just become asexual.
Yeah.
There's also different. Like Jansen pointed out something earlier when he was talking about the Reds and becoming jaundiced against men. So the Red are like the law enforcement, right? Of the White Tower.
But
they're
also
like
men hate them because when you see a Red,
right. But think about modern times. Cops have that same thing. Cops become very jaundiced against anyone because it's like they think they're in a constant struggle, and the people that they're in a struggle with hate them in return. The Greens, the battle Aja, anybody that's been in war, or you talk to anybody, they live life to the fullest because they don't know when they're going to die.
But they don't go to war, though. That's the only difference between the Greens in the books and soldiers and military in our world is
I get that, but
3,000
I
years,
get that, but coming from and this is me placing myself in Jordan's head, not knowing what the hell he was thinking. I'm just speculating here. From a military standpoint, very on point. That they would be open to just about anything because soldiers go to die. And that's what, like, I never at any point did I not think that I was just a number when I was in for my time in service, and that I could die at any moment, that they sent me somewhere, and that was my purpose and my job. Right. That's just how I thought of things. It was just a, it sounds kind of weird, but that's just how I thought about it. I wasn't one of those people that went in and said, oh, I'm going to do this for a college degree, or I'm going to do this. Nope. I was a number. I was perfectly content with knowing that I was a number. And my mentality has always been that way. And so from somebody who went to war like Jordan did, I can see that in the Greens. And that's how I always pictured it. Because you see some weird shit when you're overseas, right? Deployed somewhere. You see some crazy shit with some of these old.
Like what?
Well, no,
I'm not going to get into that.
Tavern, but to Tom's point, the Greens have not seen action.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm not saying the Greens themselves. I'm saying when he wrote the Greens, I can see where he was going with it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's what it was, but I can see where he was going with it. And it's the same thing with the whites and all of the others, right? The pencil pushers or the bean counters would be the whites. And it was always about the numbers, and the logic and that kind of stuff. I get, I mean, from that perspective, that's how I pictured the Ajas. Also, the colors mean jack shit outside of Tarvalon. Like Tom said, if you see an Aes Sedai, that's an Aes Sedai. Period.
It's a nice
To 90% of the population, like the royalty and like the people of power would pay attention because, like, like the game of houses and stuff permeates everywhere. So, like, if a Brown sister is coming to visit your palace, you would, clean up the libraries and make sure that the staff there is being attentive.
Right, but the normal person, Rand had no idea that was a Aes Sedai, even though she had the ring. He had this was outside of his scope of knowledge.
Yeah, that's the education system of the.
Well, but I think a lot of kids his age may not. I mean,
raised in a secluded village that has never traveled that far outside of their village for sure. Yeah, but for someone like Min is younger than him, and Min knows all about Aes Sedai, and Elaine
Min is older.
Min is older than him.
Min is older.
Min is a little older. Min is a little older.
I mean, it's like fairy tales, right? It's like Trollocs. When they talk about Trollocs, nobody's seen a Trolloc. Not anybody in the Two Rivers.
Right. Well, Jansen, what were you saying?
I said it's the first time, even when Rand meets Moraine, they even talk about it in his POV how Tom acted differently around her.
Yep.
So they were showing that that contrast right away.
Yeah, Tom knew.
Tom knew who she was right away. What she was.
He was a bard to the Queen of Andor who had an Aes Sedai advisor. He knows what an Aes Sedai is.
Yeah,
and knowing Tom may have run into Moraine at some point anyways, seeing as she was freaking of a noble house in Carrion.
That's my theory for the show. I believe when they show Tom, Marilyn, and Moraine see each other for the first time, they're
going to recognize him.
And it's gonna be like, is it gonna be like?
Yeah.
I hope not.
It'll be the slow look across the bar, and everyone
they hit the ground. They always frolic in the waves.
I hope they make that. I hope they make them hate each other in the show. Like they're friends.
I think they might do that because I think they already will have slept together. I think they might do that.
That would be hilarious.
I think there'll be frenemies in the show. I don't think they're going to have any kind of romantic anything between them.
Go ahead, Desmond.
I was just going to close out the point because we are coming to a close on Pride Month, and there is a really big queer presence in the Wheel of Time community, and I think a lot of times we sometimes feel that is not suppressed, that's not the right word, but people kind of like dismiss, or they're like, oh, it's just a phase in the White Tower or whatever, and it seems invalidated in some ways. And so I think when we're talking about, even kind of jokingly, we say Tar Valon, we immediately think of the White Tower, but it is an entire city, and I think it kind of takes on the personality of the White Tower. So when I think of things like that, I think each city will have its own personality of queer folks. But I do think one thing Robert Jordan did amazingly was just introduce the idea that there could be a time when maybe I grew up and being queer or being gay was such a non-factor that nobody would even care, nobody would even worry about it. You know, you could kind of love who you want to love, and it would be celebrated as much as the next person is celebrated, as much as any diversity would be celebrated. And I think that's such a win in writing. For the time that Robert Jordan wrote it, it was kind of like almost revolutionary, because it was, you know, it was definitely in like the 90s and stuff when people were not thinking like that at all. And so just to kind of
forget it.
Yeah, just to give a shout out to the queer folks of the Wheel of Time, how much like we love this community. We love just the little nuggets that we see, and how it's being fleshed out in the show, and it feels very validating. And as we're coming to the end of Pride, it's just kind of like, what a fantastic community.
Personally, for me, I totally agree. Personally, for me, seeing it as not being used as a negative in any way, even from the villains. Like the villains in the world don't even use it against anybody. Like it's still not a factor.
I have a question about that.
I'm going to cut you guys off here. I've got to go. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I've got to cut it for the night. Sorry.
All right, go earn lots of money for charity.
You want to tell us why you have to go?
Yeah, tell us.
I got a stream key from Ubisoft for a game, and I'm advertising it for the next couple of hours on my Twitch channel.
Yay, that's fun.
So,
Awesome.
Ubisoft.
Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition.
All right, go shill for Ubisoft.
I'll go.
Fuck yeah!
Have fun.
Yeah,
Make that
go
dough.
get a gift back.
Make that dough.
Bye, guys. Have a good
Bye.
night.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Love
Bye.
you.
Get 'em all.
Bye.
I do have a question. So,
This feels
in the
so
book-
dude heavy right now. Oh, God.
I could
so
go on one of my
in
weeks.
the books, they talk about pillow friends a lot.
Yes.
When it comes to Aes Sedai and the women and whatnot, not so much in the men. There's a couple
only
of
like one.
yeah. There's like one or two here and there. So
picked it up. There's only like one.
No,
when I think of the
more
white
than-
cloaks, yeah, there's a few. When I
more
think of
than
the
one.
white
There's
cloaks,
there's Omarin, who Pavara even tells Andro that he likes men.
But that's Brandon.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Later.
That's not Robert Jordan. That's Brandon.
So my question is this:
technically, yeah, you're
if
right.
you have the Aes Sedai and the white cloaks, which are polar opposites, right? In my eyes, they never mention male relationships within the white cloaks. They don't actually mention a whole lot of relationships, except in the white cloaks, which is odd to me, because when I look at the white cloaks, and especially the way they did it on the show, where they had they have the little boys, doing the fog of war and doing the cooking and stuff, reminds me very much of Alexander the Great's army and the Greeks. So it's odd to me that they mention female on female relationships, but they almost never mention male on male relationships.
That's misogyny.
When you're a guy from the South, man, you can only go so far, dude.
No, I get that. I'm just
Well,
I
the
don't
time
wanna-
that it was written too, like that
Yeah,
was
I
not,
don't wanna-
it
I
was
don't want to make an
not
assumption
believable.
of like Robert Jordan personally left it out, or the publishers took it out, or whatever, because like we don't know. But like whether it's out and out like toxic masculinity and misogyny, or if it's just internalized toxic masculinity and misogyny, like there's a reason for that. Like there's like the general audience of fantasy leans more toward the straight male, and straight men don't mind reading about lesbians, and they don't, and more of them are self-conscious about
why you have the half-naked women on the cover of video games, and
Yeah.
you don't see half
So,
naked men.
Tavern, if I'm crossing any borders, just say so, and we'll move on. But you being in combat, you being in a situation with a lot of guys in a tent in stressful situations.
Oh no! Where's this
Was
going?
there any relationships that you knew that occurred, like wartime, like pillow friends?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And how
Yeah,
did how did that culture? How did everyone deal with?
So okay.
Guys,
So I
come
I
on,
was born and raised in
Ryan,
Miami.
Come on,
He's taking his shirt off over there.
I'm trying, man. How?
So I was
Conversations
born.
get me
Listen,
hot.
I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Right. I've seen everything.
Hell yeah, you have.
Literally
Yeah,
seen everything.
you
I've
are
got
you, but
family.
dude that lives
I
in
have
Miami.
family that's gay. I have, friends in the military. Even when I went in the military, I had friends that I knew to be gay. Couldn't talk about it. Right? Very hidden in the military. You don't ask, don't tell was a real thing. And if you did tell, you got kicked out.
you got kicked out. Right.
It's that
right.
simple.
The NFL.
But here's the thing: nobody that worked with those people gave a flying fuck.
Yeah.
That they were gay.
The thing is also it
Didn't
has
care.
nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the situation, like
Yeah.
going to being whether you're in war or you're at the White Tower or
Sure.
you're
Yeah.
at school or you're at home. It doesn't have anything that doesn't make you any less or more straight. It may bring out more truer feelings if you feel like you're gonna die. Like maybe you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll just live my truth and not care because I might die. But
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like it has less. It has nothing to do with the circumstances of one's. Hello, sorry, I have a visitor. You can't see him at the moment, but he's standing in front of the screen.
Well, couldn't
there you go. There's his tail.
How did time out? How did the arm come out of the shirt, Ryan?
Yeah, no, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ryan
Open a
slowly-
second ago. What the hell happened?
People are
my
throwing
God.
him dollars, I think, off screen.
Yeah.
So yes,
Uh,
circumstances can't make you less gay,
No.
but definitely circumstances can inhibit the expression of one's sexuality.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
100%.
That's what I'm saying.
but also circumstances, like if you grow up not ever believing you're ever gay and you have all these biases against like homosexuality, if you're in a situation when you're actually with a human being and you're feeling, like the circumstances alone could, I believe, just unlock like something that you didn't believe.
Yeah,
was
that's exactly
inherent in
what
you.
I said. It's more. It's not that any situation will make someone something or not.
Yeah.
It's more so the circumstances of the situation making you feel comfortable enough to be your true self.
Listen,
Go ahead, Dad Swain.
If you're
Well, I was-
born, you're born however you're born.
Just
right?
for, and also
Right.
only because I don't think Dad Swain or I don't know, because I don't like talk about it all the time, but I'm also a member of the LGBT community. I'm not.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I know
so much.
how I come off and how I
First day I
externalize
talked
myself,
to you.
so I like to just, I don't want people to make assumptions.
Never
So
cared.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Please,
I'm sorry. I was just going to say there is a huge difference between situational sexuality and sexuality. Like in my daily life and everything. Like I grew up in a military family too, so I'm familiar with the territory. But I'm kind of like, in some situations, you're just in an environment where there's opportunity, and some guys are kind of like, I don't know, I've been curious, let's check it out. And but queer people are as different as any human group of people. So,
Exactly.
some people will be in these situations and they'll be like, whatever equals pillow friends, let's do it. And then
What do
other
you mean?
people
It exists on a spectrum, Dad Swain?
Yeah.
well, and it sounds shitty. I mean, but I have a really good gay friend who referred to in college. They called them bugs. They were bisexual until graduation.
I was like, I thought he had something going.
Which-
crawling in
I
his
was like,
privates or
He
something.
comes for that.
Where
now.
are you going
Okay.
with this?
But so she's like, yeah, we call them bugs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so great. But this does exist, and I just wonder how, like, Tavern, get back to the military itself.
Dude,
So
have you
you
been
all
to
knew.
Have you been to
Wait.
what?
Jail.
No, I have not.
Well, no. Let's hold on. Put a pin in that. Let's jump in that. But like, so if you guys knew, did like your like CO know?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
I mean,
here's the thing. Nobody gave a shit until they literally it came out of their
until
mouth.
they said it. So you
Right? Even the guys that were born and bred, spitting tobacco and shit, knew they were gay. And as long as they did their job, from that perspective, I give two shits. I mean, you are who you are. But some of these guys that were homophobic, let's say, or whatever, even they wouldn't out people.
Oh,
right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So
It was
I'm
just
just
not
wondering
a
the
thing.
culture. So that might have been the White Tower to
Well,
me
all
is
right,
what I
Jansen.
think of it.
Jansen
Go
may
ahead,
have had a
Jansen.
So the reason why I said jail is because I was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
say earlier, this is what I believe is the most likely thing that happened in the White Tower. Now, in jail, men and women,
Selena was the big bitch. Is that?
you were talking about bugs, but male men and women in the United States, when they're in jail, they turn into birds, bisexual until release.
Yep.
Now, a lot of those reasons are because there's only men available.
I don't think so. I disagree.
Well, there is text in the books that.
No,
Yeah,
I
but
agree
see,
with
here's
Jansen.
the thing. Here's the thing. I think that's internalized toxic masculinity in the sense of people being able to be honest with them, like, you know, the whole idea of being on the down low, like, and things like that. Like, that's, you're able to have an excuse for it here, and then like when
No,
they go
it's
back
power
to their daily
dynamic.
lives, they can't anymore, so they have to pretend again. Like, I'm not saying that that's always the case.
Yeah,
And-
but was
and,
it
you know-
Tarna or was it Bayanin who, in their POV, said, I think it's Tarna, who in her POV said when she was an accepted and a novice, she was pillow friends with Elida. Elida, after they had both become Aes Sedai, had wondered why Tarna passed up her advances after that. And then in the same POV, Tarna talks about the men that she likes now.
See
So
that?
she's
Yeah.
bisexual, but that
Well,
doesn't have
and-
anything to do with. That doesn't have anything to do with like not having like
No,
be-
just
like
Aes
being
Sedai
in
culture.
jail or not having the opportunity or
Yeah.
anything like that.
No, I'm just saying it even states that novices and accepted were strongly kept away from men.
But they're not allowed to have sex with anybody. Not
Well, maybe not, but I mean, if you've ever been locked up and alone,
Yeah, a
other
bunch of
people's advances
18-year-olds don't
yeah.
have
So,
sex.
but the only reason
works.
why I was like this has nothing to do with the Wheel of Time. The only reason why I was pushing against the idea of the jail portion of it is because it leans into a toxic masculinity type of mentality.
oh no, I
of,
get it.
But
women are
that
in jail
mentality
too,
is there for a reason, though. When especially when it comes to jail, right? It's almost like there's truth to every myth or whatever. That whole environment of jail and all of the the people joke about, oh, you're gonna get raped in jail and all this stuff. That shit happens.
That's
Well,
horrible.
Not every one of those guys, and not every one of them has a hidden gay agenda. They just want to get off.
Totally.
I mean, that doesn't.
My wife defends those people all the time. I know
Yeah.
for a fact that's true.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I just
unless
can't-
you speaking as someone who is a very masculine appearing person, and
Oh God,
doesn't-
Tom, I could speak for 20 minutes about how masculinity is here.
when
That
you-
beard
when-
alone.
Oh
when you-
God.
it's the internalized
Yeah.
toxic masculinity and misogyny of society and the way it puts it
my
on
God.
people of how gay is being less than. And the reason why I say misogyny is all because it lends around the idea of derogatoriness around being effeminate. Like any type of thing, it's even in jail. Like the way you said it, like the
True,
birds in jail. Like
You're
Yeah,
absolutely right. But
Yeah.
and the thing is that you guys were getting, you guys took it the wrong way. All I'm saying, it had nothing to do with being in jail. It had to. All I'm saying is that I'm barreling it down to the fact that they were stuck in a situation where they were.
But see that's what I'm saying is again the situation is giving that it's less the situation is like presenting them with all this is all I got, whereas more as the situation is presenting them with the opportunity to be more true to who they are and not.
That's possible, but I'm just saying it does.
Yeah.
happen in
I mean,
real
I'm
life.
not saying it's not possible.
Yeah,
I just
it-
don't
it-
think that
It's more
everybody.
likely.
That's
like
the answer for
leaning
everybody.
into psychology and things. That's going to be what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
you never know when you're.
Man.
Yeah.
Tom, you look like Kratos, the most masculine guy of all time.
Guys,
Yeah.
you never know when you're
gonna take
king.
up-
You know,
The most
you get
masculine
beat
video
up
game man of all
and
time.
He's gonna beat up Ares, the god of war.
Well, everything is a spectrum. So I
Exactly.
truly believe. Like I agree with you, Tom. absolutely. But I also think, the novices come in when they're like, what, 15 or 16?
Yeah, like
30
And-
years of exploring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then they're in the White Tower, right, for like 30, 40 years, 200 years, 300
Yeah.
years.
Right.
It's like you're in this situation where you're coming in as your sexuality is beginning to kind of blossom, and you are restricted immediately from the opposite sex. And so I feel like there is a point on the spectrum where you can kind of like say, well, here's what's available, and I will partake in it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you are fully bisexual or lesbian or whatever, but it is like what Jensen was saying, like it's all that's around you. Like there's no real opportunity. They're not allowed to leave the White Tower until
they're
they're
just swimming
accepted.
in it.
Right, and they're all horny. They're all
Yeah,
horny and
that, but-
watching fucking Waters practice with no shirts on.
Quite a
Yeah.
bit of them. Quite a bit of
Yeah.
them are victims of
Novice that runs
predatory
away
people.
or guard.
Yeah, and within that,
Yeah,
you have
but-
authentic lesbians who are kind of like, well, this is really me, and I'm trying to, grow that in this environment. They don't have a balanced environment of, opposite sex and same sex, and to give any kind of reference or anything. All they have is other women around them, and they're just kind of like, I believe I am fully lesbian, but this is all I've got. So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
The
it must be
exposure
very
thing-
confusing.
It's mostly the pursuit of like when they realize like, oh, this is who I am. Which is why it's hard to use real life examples with the Wheel of Time, because the Wheel of Time world is so accepting
Yeah.
of it. Whereas in our world, with men or women, it has to be hidden for even now, even in 2024.
Right. And it's unfortunate that the White Tower, with all it is still closeted.
Mhm.
And the Reds are considered the way they are written are kind of the dyke
Dominant military.
you
lesbian.
know,
Are
like
there
I
pillow
hate
friends?
men, I hate men.
Are there pillow
Well,
friends in the
well,
Black
there
Tower?
were women who love women in all ages, but they're kind of like, I don't.
That's why I said they're
anyways,
kind of like
yeah.
they're kind of like the self-fulfilling prophecy, in that
Right.
they kind of perpetuate that persona, but also they have that persona placed on them.
This is such a random side note, but I am obsessed with the
I
fact
know, my
that
God.
Momo looks like he's paying so much attention to you, Tom.
He's
Just so interested.
he's wrapped in Tom's
It's
ear.
my mama.
Like, his ear looks so nummy. Nom 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 nom
And then my real Momo is over here.
nom. Momo.
Hello.
So this
Okay,
is
what's the
Dad Swain. This is how our show goes. We
I love it.
bring up a
Off the
city, and then we just
I'm surprised that Beth hasn't like shown up at somebody's house and started beating on somebody.
She beats me all the time. It's fine.
She like gets so angry that we lose.
Hey,
Yeah,
on-
so-
on my
I feel
show-
bad for Jansen because Jansen's prepared.
Oh no, Jensen has so many notes. Jensen, yeah, I know. Just so what, Jensen? What else?
Every week, he's used to shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to redo this show next week, I think.
What, we have to continue talking about the Wheel of Time?
Part 2 of A Crown of Swords.
Well,
I mean, we made it to chapter like.
You got to leave in
7
5
or 8.
minutes, Jansen.
I got about 10 minutes tonight. I mean, it's been almost 2 hours we've been on.
We made it to
We
like
do-
chapter 8 or 9.
Can we do one more city?
Yeah, let's do one more city real quick.
Yeah, let's do one more city.
All right,
Where-
give
where
it.
are you going?
Where's the next place we go?
The next place we go is Saladar.
We're going back to Saladar.
Well, that's where we're going.
Let's
That's
skip Saladar. Let's go to.
POV. in
Yeah, Saladar we talked about. Saladar is just like that cool little like mountain.
The
It's
Salazar.
Key West. We're just gonna call it Key West.
That ski village.
So now we're going to Ilion.
Oh
Mhm.
crap!
All right.
Oh, I was.
Now we're
Saladar,
talking.
Saladar and the whole idea of the Rebel Side is a really interesting thing, because there's a whole section of history where there's like dueling popes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that's kind of what Robert Jordan was leaning into with
Two
the
popes.
two Amerlins. Yeah, like there was a whole section of European history when you had vying churches, and in some cases multiple popes, people claiming the position of pope. And I mean, it's the entire reason for many battles and empires. The Byzantine Empire was started because of it, and the Church of England and all of those things. Like that is heavily what the White Tower is influenced by.
Yeah, one of them was famous for Mava, make the Vatican.
Make Vatican.
That's a lighter. That's a lighter.
Mavka.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked Messima to come across Asinawa.
That's awesome.
The thing, so Saladar is like, to me in my head, it's like some
thought we were an
like some Nazi freaking where they had their base camp in a faraway base camp that got abandoned, and they stumbled across it in the mountains, some Bavarian kind of weird village.
Yeah, exactly, like an outpost west.
I think it's like the outpost in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Okay.
The abandoned rebel fortress on Yavin.
Yeah.
Wait, when did Empire Strike Back come out?
82?
Said now 70 something.
Yeah. When did it come out? Because
Empire Strikes Back did not come out in the 70s, did it?
Yeah, 70 something.
Look at you.
That's cool.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Coming this summer.
What year?
Wide Vision. Oh,
what year?
Empire Strikes Back. Incest, robots, all kinds
About everything.
God, Wide Vision. How great is that?
Ewoks.
Ewoks.
No.
Furries.
Next one.
It might have been 80.
They were proclaiming the future. We had furries.
Luke and Leia are a great example of an author retconning something because the audience figured it out. I feel like he made Luke and Leia brother and sister because everyone was like, they're gonna get together. Where Robert Jordan made Demandred not.
Yeah, I was about to say Taim.
Nazrim Tame.
Yeah, Taim. Yeah, the whole Taim thing.
Figured it out.
It was 1980.
He changed it.
Yeah. I mean, he very famously denies doing that, but
Jansen, that was cool, man.
I'm
a huge Star Wars fan.
That ticket is fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so Ilion has the bees, the 9 bees. This is where Tam actually fought for Ilion. Do we know why Tam fought for Ilion? He had options, right? He was a free agent.
Yeah, he left the Two Rivers, ended up in Ilion, and became second captain.
We don't know why, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I forgot what's the guy's name who remembers being second to him.
Yeah, they meet him in Rand meets him.
And it's in The Memory of Light. I forgot the quote. Who's the name? I got to think about it. But yeah, they talk about that, and Tam,
that's the Outrigger novel I'm really sad we didn't get.
Here's a. Go ahead.
Yes.
I would think, who were the people that judged Tam a sword master?
Or did he just kill a sword master?
Yeah. Or he judged a sword master by 4 sword masters.
Yeah.
That's the other way.
Didn't he say that he became a blade master sort of like he needed to kill the guy, there was some reason, and he kind of regretted it.
And he was really nonchalant about it.
Commander.
Go ahead.
Noman Garden. Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Noman Garden is the encyclopedic knowledge of. He always keeps me on my toes.
Did he? So wait, hold on. Did he?
Was it like a Jamie Lannister type thing?
Was it a dark friend? Yeah. Was it like? Why did he kill his commander? What the fuck?
I don't think we know more than him saying he regretted it.
Mm-hmm.
No, but you know what we can think about this, how the circularity of the Wheel of Time, how Tam so easily saw his commander doing something wrong in the last battle. Maybe this came around full circle, and this is the
like
second.
Lan.
Well, isn't this how Galad became a blade master? Was killing his commander?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you think Tam used the hair mark blade to kill Tigraine and get Rand out of her belly?
Oh, Ryan. Ryan thinks that Tam did a total. He did a swan in the reeds cesarean.
No, I think exactly what happened in the show is what happened in the book as well.
Yep.
I don't think Tam Althor would kill a pregnant maiden, even if she was trying to actively kill him.
And oddly enough, I'm going to butcher how to say this. The Manethrin drill actually goes from the Two Rivers all the way to Ilion.
Oh, maybe he walked like through the river.
I wouldn't say he walked, but there's a
horse.
Any time that
he took a bus.
One name crosses two paths anywhere in the books, there's something going on.
That is the most logical explanation I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He just walked down the river.
That's when we've thrown this theory out. We've thrown this theory out to several guests. Do you think that Tam knew that that baby Rand was the dragon?
I think he knew the prophecy. And
I'm asking Dad Swain.
I think he knew the prophecy.
I'm sorry.
I think that there's plenty of people in Randland who have no idea what this prophecy is. They know the dragon is coming, but what does that mean? They're busy farming. And I think there's some educated people who are kind of like, there is some prophecy about some baby in a mountain. And then you have the scholars who are kind of like, here's the tea. Some baby's coming out of a maiden of the spirit. You know, like they have the details. So I think Tam is intelligent. I think he's smart. He's strategic. I think at some level he was kind of like, oh, maybe some light bulbs were going off, but I don't think he was kind of like, I am holding the dragon reborn. You know, like
so,
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't think he was surprised to see Moraine show up.
I think he just really like, you know, he had a wife who couldn't have a baby, right? And he suddenly had this baby.
So we hear.
I think that TV Tam knows.
Yeah.
TV Tam definitely knows.
TV Tam.
TV. All right. So, all right, because he did take him to the most remote place in all of Randland, not even in the Two Rivers, in a farm way over there.
But that's
as soon as Rand said, "Hey, I think someone's following us," he's like, "Hey, we're not staying for Beltane. We're splitting." You don't think that he was trying to protect the dragon?
He pulled off like the greatest espionage move.
Yeah, maybe over time he had some suspicions, especially when Moraine and Lan showed up in the Two Rivers.
He never got married.
Some of that might have been confirmed for sure.
Listen, we had this discussion before about the Mountains of Mist being the perfect name for where the dragon grew up. It was covered, it was shrouded in the armpit of the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And it wasn't just because he was naming it after the Misty Mountains.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to listen. Don't get me started on the
it's Mountains of Mist.
It's Mountains of.
Tarvalon is Lake Town. That's all it is. That's what I'm calling Tarvalon is Lake Town. Not to mention that Lake Town was where the black freaking arrows were that killed the dragon.
So that's when you say, Tim. So when did he find out? When did he learn?
I think he was more.
I always forget about
Raven. Pieces came together when Moraine showed up.
Yeah.
I think he probably had a few pieces that didn't make entire sense. One of our pieces
of evidence is the beginning of the Ravens prologue, where they're shearing sheep, and then Bran's like, "Hey kids, drink some water. We're gonna drink some cider." Hey, they're like, "Hey, tell us a story," and he's like, "Hey, I got a cool story about the dragon, but let me call my friend Tam Althor. He's a way better storyteller." And Tam's like, "Oh, gee, okay," and he spills all the tea.
All the tea.
He knew it all.
Yeah.
He read Rand to filth.
He knew. Yeah. Exactly.
And you know what dawned on me the other day? Actually, going back to the very beginning of the books, it dawned on me that in Eye of the World, in the very first chapter, or well, I don't know about ravens now, but was it on the road? What's it called?
The Johanna
An open road.
Open road.
Open road.
When Rand sees the Murdral, it dawned on me. This is how dumb I am. Just recently, how shocking that would have been to him, because there's nothing further up that road than their house.
Right.
It goes to the old Manetheren, or the ruins.
Well,
And
Of whatever's left, yeah.
yeah, and something being on that road behind them would have scared the shit out of him. And it didn't dawn on me until the other day.
Right. And Rand's not some spooky little, like, 12-year-old that's
No.
like, a grasshopper.
Well, he wasn't
No.
saw it either.
No.
He was like, what the fuck is that? Dad.
I think
There's-
5 boys saw it. 5
Yeah.
or 6.
Mhm.
Yep.
So once he talked to the village council, he's like, hey, Rand, we're getting the fuck out of here. He's like, why? He's like, don't worry about it. But when we get home, I'm going to get my hair and marked blade that you've never seen ever in your life. By the way, guys, you live in a little house. Your dad
On the
has
prairie.
one. You're not looking under his bed like ever for porn or anything. You're not
Porn for
you-
porn?
You
Yeah.
don't see
the
this
most
box, and you're like,
uncurious human being ever.
you're like, wait, what's in this box? Your dad has this box?
Dude, I'm telling you, I still think Tamal Thor is a descendant of the line of Aemon.
no, we agree.
I've been
We agree
saying
on
I
that.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
No. So the
100%.
grand theory is that he, it's either, we can get in the question of whether Rand's Tavern pull was strong enough to be like pre-birth, but like the idea that this man just left the Two Rivers, quote unquote, to look for adventure.
It's not.
which
I
is-
would say. So my head canon for that specifically is less that it's Rand's Tavern nature that's doing it, and it's the pattern. It's because the pattern chooses when someone becomes a Tavern, like canonically.
Yeah,
The pattern
absolutely,
can
100%.
make somebody Tavern and make somebody not Tavern whenever it wants. So the pattern was like, I want Rand to be born here at this time, at this day, and be found by this person, to be taken back to this
Who
village
knew
at this
shit?
time.
This person who knew shit?
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's what I'm asking. Yeah. Also, I hate that Robert Jordan said, nope, there's only 3 Tavern ever. And
You never,
I'm like,
No, he didn't say
He
that.
never said that. Did he?
in the book. He
He's
said
said in
only
the
in the
book.
book.
So that means
No,
Tam
but
wasn't in
that's
Tavern.
unreliable narrator. Robert Jordan, like, we know that
I don't
there's
like
not
that.
a Tavern ever.
Yeah, he
Like,
never
we
said
know
that.
Did he
Like,
say
that
no
meant,
woman
like-
was a Tavern in the book?
I thought that was
Arthur
canon.
Hawkwing-
Arthur Hawkwing was
Like,
the yeah.
Every
But they
single.
talk about
Well-
other Tavern.
In the
Yeah.
Third Age. Where we're at, Tam could not be Tavern. Loyal could not be Tavern. Tom,
We don't know that.
Bail Doman. No, we do. He said no. It's only those 3. Didn't he?
No.
Come on,
Surely.
Tom. Tom.
No.
Nope.
No,
Tom.
He said specifically there.
Tom.
yelling at it isn't going to change his mind.
Tom.
I'm telling you specifically, they talk about how the pattern can make anybody a Tavern when it needs them to.
Right,
So-
but I thought he clarified and said
that
no,
shit
it-
didn't happen in the book.
Yeah, I thought
No,
that
dude.
there was something.
I don't remember reading that at all.
Fucking RJ.
All right, come on, chat.
I've never read
All
that
right, yeah.
in the interviews
Okay.
or had
Okay.
or and
I will-
specifically I've heard Maria answer that question several times, and Brandon, that there were other Tavern in the world. They never
I can
confirmed
give you, like,
anyone
10
being
different
Tavern or not,
different
but
times.
Mhm.
Wait, Jansen, what's
Wait,
try
I get
again?
the punch right now.
Go ahead,
Land-
name.
One, Land and Land's POV, he says,
Thank you.
it's said that Arthur Hawkwing sometimes in a room could get anyone
oh
to
yeah, we know
No,
Arthur
we know
Hawkwing
that.
was
Right,
there.
Yeah,
that
that's the
was 1,000 years ago. No, I'm saying in this story with
In the
our
books,
boys,
you're talking about in this
our
time in the book.
characters. Yes,
yeah.
our POVs.
Tavern are extremely, extremely rare. The fact that it's 3 is crazy.
Yeah.
Why?
That's
So
what they
why
said.
is
The fact
it a
that there was
talent?
3.
Why is it a talent to see Tavern then?
You gotta find him, I guess. Isn't Bella Tavern? Surely.
Bella's the creator.
Definitely.
Bella is
Let's
the
see.
Tavern.
I love how our guests remind us of what we're supposed to do.
I feel so accomplished right now.
Right, in the
I
show,
activated Bella.
on the TV show, I think we get a prime example of the pattern creating.
Well done,
Tavern,
Dutchman.
okay, and this is how I see it on the show. So Moraine says there's rumors of 4 Tavern in the 2 rivers.
5.
Nope, she says 4.
She does.
She calls out 4.
She
Oh,
does.
but she does talk about there being 5 later.
No, actually, Patton Fane says there's 5. But here's the thing.
Only Pat and Fane.
Right. So Moraine says there's rumors of 4. Okay. She goes and she grabs Rand, Perrin, Matt, and Egwene. Okay. And they leave because Nynaeve is supposed to be dead.
Mm.
Well, she rules Nynaeve out when she asks her how old she is.
Right.
Yeah.
She rules her out. But here's the thing. Here's the kicker. The pattern creates a Tavern whenever something is broken that needs to be fixed. And
Yeah.
what broke that
Yeah.
needed to be fixed? Steppin breaking the freaking shield on Logain and him killing everybody. When Nynaeve explodes in her Mayo Clinic explosion of healing, you can
That was
literally
Tavern, yeah.
but you can see the yin yang in the ball of light around her. I think she became Tavern at that point.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
that's when Patton Fane later on says, all 5 of you are.
Well, there's also another mention when Moraine's talking to Swan on the show. She says verbatim to her, "I sought for Tavern, but how can I discredit Nynaeve's power?"
Here's the thing that we forget often, and when I say we, I mean everyone in the Wheel of Time community, specifically when it comes to the show and the books. One, when someone says something in the books, you can't take it for fact. That's based on what that character knows.
True.
And 2, the writers of the show have something that Robert Jordan never had when he wrote these books. Even Brandon, he has all the books, all of them.
Yeah.
So he has the full knowledge of how
And the notes
Rafe
and all that
and the
stuff.
other writers of the show have the full knowledge of how Tavaran nature works and how the pattern works, where Robert Jordan and Brandon had to develop that over the entire story. So I totally agree with Tavaran in the sense of like Nynaeve may not have been Tavaran just before that moment when she healed them. She could have been Tavaran before that, like when she healed Egwene. Like no one was able to heal Egwene. Yeah, she healed her with her channeling, but like maybe the pattern could have given her a little nudge, you know.
And also acknowledges that there's 5 of them at the very end when she talks to Lanfear. She says they're ours now, all 5 of them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people getting angry about Moiraine and the Aes Sedai thinking that the dragon could be one of the female characters from the 2 Rivers is just again the sense of just an unreliable narrator. The Aes Sedai don't even understand how rebirth, the cycle of rebirth and things work. Maybe
right.
They could be changing it for the show, which whatever. If they make it make sense, cool. But
let's get away from the show. Let me address the topic I brought up.
Hold on. Real quick, I have to bounce.
No.
I have to bounce. Sorry.
All right.
But I like looking at your face, Tavaran.
I have my
you.
own Tavaran that is gonna.
I'm so glad you came on. Thank you so much. I love you each and every time you're on.
Love you guys. Have fun.
Love you too.
Yeah, have a good Sunday.
Where are we going to see you next?
Hands up for WatCon.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I got my ticket and my room.
That's Wayne. What the hell?
I know. I was poor, but next year.
I was poor.
I was.
I'm laughing at you.
I was poor, but
The
I'm
way you
okay
said
now.
it.
I'm not laughing at you.
Snicker.
All right.
All right,
Next,
bye
I don't know.
today.
There's stuff popping up sooner or later.
right.
Anyways, have a good night, folks.
Let me get back to Swan has the talent to see Tavern. So we see that she was like, boy, you glowed like the sun. Do you think that she is seeing tiny sparks of Tavernness? Like she walks by and like a guard at the gate suddenly has this little spark of Tavern and it like diffuses shit or anything like she walks by
Maybe.
the market and there's like
Possible.
a transaction between produce and like a little Tavern thing and the woman puts 2 more plums
Like the
in the
butterfly
bag.
effect. Like, you know, someone doing this thing over here has an effect on
I
something.
mean,
that's not present here.
how else would you know you have this talent? Because she seemed pretty confident. She's like, boy, I can see Tavern. I have the talent.
Well, I
How
think,
do you know if there's only 3 since Arthur Hawkwing?
There
Yeah,
hasn't
I
been
think-
only 3 since Utter Hawkwing. That you keep falling back to that, but I think I don't.
That's
know,
what
I
I'm
don't
asking.
remember
That's
that ever
what I'm
being-
asking.
Yeah,
remember that.
The-
Okay, so Swan is the Amelin seat. She has access to the entire 13th Depository. She knows what a Tavern is, you know, what's going on with that. So she must also know there must be a list somewhere of, you know, Aes Sedai talents and powers.
Of
And
course.
so as she is walking about, all of a sudden someone's glowing, she already has the knowledge of, oh,
What it
you know,
is.
this must be what this, you know, this is happening.
That
I
was-
have this talent.
That
Only-
must have
only
been
to
weird,
back up
though.
your point, only
Yeah.
to back up your point, Dad Swain. Varen also like is fully aware of what it is, so that just lends
Absolutely.
to the fact that the Aes Sedai are aware of this talent and have been aware of it.
Until
Because-
the guy tells Nicola exactly what she
Yeah.
has when Matt
Yeah.
walks in.
Exactly. And the same
Well,
and the
there's
same
the-
thing with Matt.
there's a
But this is different. Swan sees an aura, a glowing aura.
Yeah, so
so
does
that's what I'm
Nicola.
saying.
So at
So
that
is Nicola.
moment,
And
Yeah.
so
So
will be.
why do these people have this talent if it's a very, very rare thing?
All
I
right,
think
Jansen.
I think that people having that talent is the pattern's fail-safe to telling everyone else that this person is important to the pattern.
That's a good assumption.
it's like, how would you know unless somebody finds them or locates them? And so
I mean-
because Swan could have gone her whole life. Maybe she saw a Tavern here and a Tavern there. Maybe she saw no Tavern, but she already knew once she studied in the White Tower that a glowing person equals Tavern. And the pattern.
The cop out answer,
Okay.
the cop out answer that is probably the truth is that, and it is the truth. Tavaran nature is just plot device. It's plot armor. And
Yeah,
it's,
of course.
it's literally an excuse of plot armor.
Right, but he introduced someone who could see, has a talent to recognize it. So
Yes,
that's why I'm
yeah.
asking. I mean, that's the only reason I wouldn't bring it up if it wasn't a talent. You know?
Yeah.
Yes, and that the talent is just another one of those things that doesn't necessarily have a point that we can see, but like if you believe in the cosmology of the Wheel of Time, which is that the pattern controls everything, then the pattern has a reason for it.
Yeah.
But it's a cop out answer, so like it's not the most fun answer.
Go ahead,
Jansen.
Jay.
I gotta go.
Oh, I love you, Jansen. Brian, should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
I love this talk so much.
I know this has been a great one.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
All
We've
right,
been
Jansen.
talked to we talked about like 2 cities.
I know we'll come back to the same book next week.
I gotta
Jansen,
go.
we love you. We'll see you later next week, buddy.
Yeah, good luck, man.
Bye.
Tell
Good to meet
Cooper
you,
Cup I said hey.
Actually, next week's WalkCon, right?
Oh shit.
Is it? Is next
No,
weekend?
2 weeks.
No, 2 weeks. All right, I'm bad.
Yeah.
I was about
But
to say
I-
you scared,
I
I was
won't-
like you scared
I
the
won't
crap
be here
out of
on
me.
Sunday then.
So, real quick, to Lottie, no, his talent is to see Tavaran. It's to a lesser degree than Swan's, but it's not. It's to see Tavaran.
Right. I was talking about Swan Sanche. Swan
Yeah, I
Sanche
know,
has
yeah.
the
It's to a
exact-
lesser degree than
Yeah.
Swan's, but it's the
He-
same.
He was able to. Well, he knew how to tell men who could channel.
In the
Right.
show,
No,
right?
he knew how to tell men who could channel because he could channel. not because he could see. He had a talent to see Tavern as well.
Yeah, in the show,
Yeah.
they present it as he can see men who
The
can
glow
shoot.
around him
Yeah,
and
but
how
in the books,
powerful he was.
It was that he could see Tavern, just like Swan and Nicola.
Yeah.
Jeez, how
And
many
also
talent-
on that same vein, they both lose that ability when they're severed from the one power and then gain it back when they are healed.
Guys, it seems like the odds of people having this talent are pretty high. There's more
two
people
out of-
who can
there-
see
well,
that
no,
than-
there's 4 people out of several billion that we've met that have.
Well,
Yeah.
but we didn't meet all several. So let's say they were 2% of the population, 1%, 0.5% of the population. That's still hundreds of thousands of people.
What's 4 out of 2,700?
Small.
Yeah, because that's there's 2,700 named characters. Give or take.
0.006.
Yeah,
All right,
so
yeah, but
4 named characters that have 2,700 named characters can see Tavern, and that's not even all of the people in the world. It's not.
That's what I'm
2%.
saying. That's
Yeah.
what I'm
I
saying.
bet.
So
Low. It's a very low
it's
number.
probably about 1% of the population, which is still
No,
pretty.
it's
No
not.
way.
1%.
We
don't
met.
understand
We
how
had
much
4.
1% of billions of people.
We
are.
didn't. Did we meet 4 Wolf Brothers? Did we meet 4 Dreamer? Well, maybe we
We
No.
met 3.
We met
Uh,
hundreds
No, we
of
did meet
dreamers.
dreamers.
We've met
I mean,
hundreds
but-
of dreamers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's probably hundreds of Tavern seers. They just don't know it.
There's no basis on that.
They just don't know it because there's no
Oh yeah, there's not that
Tavern.
many. That's the other thing is. the
That's what I'm
odds
saying. The
seem-
talent's there, but it's dormant.
Well, the
The
odds of
odds
running
of
into a
seeing-
Tavern. Is that what you
is
were going to
low.
say? Like, yeah, the odds of
Yeah,
running
yeah,
into
yeah.
a Tavern. They may never even see a Tavern their whole
That's
lives.
what I'm saying.
The power would
It's a
never act.
weird talent. I bet you a
Absolutely.
bunch
I mean,
of people
all of the
have it
talents-
and are passing
all
on
of the
this
talents are
gene,
weird.
All of
and-
them.
and
I
they're
bet
not,
all
and
weird.
no one's seeing
You
Tavern.
have a
They don't
guy
even
that
know.
can smell violence.
Yeah.
That's way weirder than seeing
See.
Tavern.
I bet
Way
Mistress.
weirder.
I bet Mistress Dobie can see Tavern.
She definitely can. Definitely.
I see some people.
Turns out we're all Tavern.
Oh my god.
We're all a little Tavern. I think that's the point. Is that, and I always that's always been my headcanon for a long time. That all of the people that were integral to the story, were Tavern at some point when they needed to be, and that's just a testament to how important individuals are and people are, and also it's just a great example of good writing. Like, you know, being able to make something that other books and other stories and other authors do, even and I know I'll probably catch a lot of flack for this, but even J.R. Tolkien doesn't do a great job with plot armor. Like in the books, the magic systems of Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time are vastly different, but he uses them he uses the magic system in the Lord of the Rings in a similar way that Robert Jordan uses Tavern nature in the Wheel of Time, in that it is a very soft system. It doesn't have a very hard defined logic or rules.
Yeah.
And the way Robert Jordan did it in the Wheel of Time makes it believable in the sense that it's interesting and it doesn't feel cheap, and it doesn't lessen the story in any way, in my opinion.
Correct. I agree with you wholeheartedly with that sentiment.
I think it quite enhances it, in fact.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the fact that there's that Noam, the disadvantaged wolf brother, exists, like it showed that talents weren't necessarily a positive for some of these people.
And that's even if wolf brotherness is a talent in the same vein of the other talents.
Wow. So what would sniffing violence be closer to, wolf brotherness or a talent?
No,
I
it could
don't.
be-
I think the sniffing
be like
nature would be.
Sorry, it
Oh,
could
go
be
ahead.
like,
No, no, you
okay,
go
so you have your talents, and then you have stuff like Min's ability, Perrin's ability, the Hurin's ability to sniff violence. I think those are on the outskirts, just extra powers that the pattern needs once in a while. because even the wolves were kind of like, oh, a wolf brother, we haven't seen you guys in ages. Like,
Yeah, something, and they refer to it as something older than, like history, like something that's been around since the beginning.
mm-hmm.
So
and they do that by sending the image of Senbui.
just
There's one other food for thought on the same line as talents and abilities. Something that we often forget about is the Ogier, which has nothing to do with the one power. It's completely, in fact, outside of the one power, which then begs to question: is it outside of the pattern? Is it outside of the other cosmology of existence? Like, and then is that like a more like nature type of deity type thing? And maybe is Wolf Brother related to that because it's more, like nature-y, animal in tune than the one power is. So it's there's a lot of interesting layers that Robert Jordan kind of left open.
Did we ever see Loyal like get tied up by the one power?
Oh yeah, the one power affects Ogier. Yeah, they get killed in a lot in the last battle, and yeah.
Okay.
No, Dan, that was that fan fiction you were reading.
Where it's like, listen,
all right, everyone.
Brand.
Let's stop kicking this dead horse. We're gonna tune in next week where we will finally get into a crown of swords,
Rand.
and we'll see places such as Hinderstadt. All right, Dad Swain, thank you for joining. Tom, thanks for coming back. We missed you.
I love you guys.
Great.
Everyone, you know how we do it. Run for your lives. This is the way of the leaf.